Let's get
So
it started in
it
here.
is around 1 a.m. again ish, somewhere thereabout. Um, no, sorry, it was a little after that. So, yeah, because I did. Okay, I was initially we were going to skip straight ahead to the post long rest, but since Sarah went off to go help Pepperjack, and then also there was a question that I think was either forgotten or at least not um, paid much attention to that probably would have been. So actually, two short primer things here. Inspiration for Arteme and Sarah both. So go ahead and mark those on your sheets if you would. Arteme for using up all of her slots to try to feed all the starving refugees. Sarah for choosing to go follow Pepperjack instead of resting, even though she'd been running for almost an entire day. Also, Fox, Arteme, your sleight of hand proficiency is done. I actually meant to put that on there. You just hadn't done it for a bit.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
oh, and then Justin, there was one thing too. Just remind me to show you Sirenscape because they specifically have a whole built-in thing for Lost Mine of Phandelver in there. So if you wanted
Ah,
to, uh, check that out, then if you like it, you can use it. You can just use my account for it already, anyways. So, all right. So, the before we get too far into that, I guess if Sarah was following Pepperjack towards the ramparts, initially, I guess with the intent to help, right? Just
Yeah.
try to see if there's anything to help with. So following behind him, he's up a good ways ahead of you, enough that you would have to hurry to try to catch him at least if you're going to, assuming you're walking. It is raining out, so would Sarah be walking in the kind of beginnings of mud, or is she trying to hop on the broom?
Should probably hop on a broom.
Okay.
I mean, I'm gonna help, but I'm not gonna go guilty.
Okay. Following behind him, he makes it to the wall before too long, which is the inside of this wall that you've noticed, by the way, that when you guys were here previously, this wall was still pretty ramshackle, and there were a lot of places that had not been filled in yet. They had started to fill it in with kind of a wooden framework between the broken parts of, because this was a big stone wall that had been there previously, but a lot of it had collapsed and broken in places. And the Crowblinders at that time had been building kind of a wooden framework in there, and then now all of those spots, those holes, are filled in with like a mud embankment, basically, to fill all this up, including shoring up some of the existing stone there. And that's where he was heading through a bunch of tents until he gets out to that area. And when he gets there, he stops and he's talking to two little, like, very short. They look like children. Muddy. In fact, you would recognize them probably because you had met them before. Do you remember Nebish and Nadir?
Yeah, they're the ones that helped us with the wall.
Yeah, they were the ones that were building, well, helping to build the wall in the first place. And he stops talking to them, is what it looks like as you're approaching. So, what are you doing?
Just gonna ask him if he has a plan and if he needs any help.
He turns and kind of smiles at you, and then kind of gives you just a one finger gesture, like a hold on just a second, as he's talking to them. And it's clear that obviously he's relieved of the extra help, sure, but he asks them. He says, I'm sorry to burden you guys with so much already, especially just being children, but I have to ask for the the lives of the people we're trying to protect here. But with the rain softening this dirt, can you reinforce these walls anymore? And the two of them look up at him, and you noticed before, of course, that they tend to act in tandem. Remember, do you probably not. I don't want to spoil that in case you guys had hit on that too much, I guess, in case you guys didn't remember specifically. But there were three, remember?
Were there three?
Yeah, there were three. You guys only ever met two. One of them died right before because you guys didn't make it there in time. But there's the both of them kind of respond simultaneously with a nod. They don't say anything. Both covered in a lot of dirt. And he looks to you and he says, I mean, the Nebush and Nadir here are going to, try to reinforce these as much as they can. I don't know really, unless you want to grab handfuls of dirt. I'm not sure what else you can do to help. Do you have some of the some similar capabilities for what they're going to do?
Not with that.
He kind of nods. He says, I mean, whatever you're willing to do, sure, certainly. If you if you want to head off and find Rook, she can probably find you some work. She may be asleep by now. You do have shit. What do you have anything for like cold based stuff?
I've got Ray of Frost, and I've got, I think Dragon's Breath has a thing for cold.
Ray of Frost is a cantrip, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah,
Um,
Dragon's Breath is cool.
I would say knowing that you could presumably, as they're putting the mud in place along the walls, they're using essentially mold earth is what they're using. But it's not I don't think it's a spell that you even have access to. Druids do, I'm pretty sure. But they're basically using mold earth to make walls, and you could kind of freeze it in place with that.
Would freezing it work better, or would fire harden it more? Is it more of dirt or clay?
It's pretty dirt. Yeah, I mean, you guys, when you were at the Battle of Sodden Field, it was heavy. It's mud. It's dirt that is, like mud patty type dirt. So it's pretty slick already.
Alright. Then, yeah, I'll stay out here for a while and use Ray of Frost.
Okay. Then while you're doing that, I guess how long are you going to spend doing that? Because if you go too long, you will take a point of exhaustion.
What time is it?
If you don't end up sleeping. It's about 2 a.m. right now.
At least an hour.
Okay.
And then I'll go get some rest.
Is
Okay.
it still the same day? Is it still Towers?
Yeah, it's still well. So I put the time in here as 10 a.m. already, so I'll give these two. It's still Towers Day, but I put that at 10 a.m. thinking that you guys were taking your long rest. So it's actually still right now. It's only about 2 a.m. After you had finished meeting with Pepperjack, and then Pogo, Norok, and Arteme went off to go to that kind of rocky. Well, you guys are showing Pogo this for the first time, of course, but that broken wall, that chunk of stone that you guys were laying on to stay out of the mud last time. I assume that's kind of the area you'd gone to. Of course, you would need to set up tents or whatever to keep from getting rained on while you're trying to sleep. But that said,
are we not inside?
No, we went outside because it's all injured people and stuff inside. There's not enough room for everybody, so we're up.
Oh.
Yeah, there is more, a lot more built up now. In fact, actually, you guys saw that the mess hall, you haven't gone to the inside, but the mess hall looks like a solid building now, whereas before it was kind of, half open because the roof had caved in for this old ruin.
Before Pogo goes to sleep, can he
Yeah.
try to just find a place that's inside?
They're
inside a wall, or is it packed?
pretty much any place. Most of the places that do have a roof are underground, and that's the area that you guys walked through that has, except for tents. But the area that you walk through is subterranean, and there's all the refugees and the wounded. That's where they all are. So it's packed wall to wall. But the mess hall isn't really for sleeping, and they're would likely kick people out, as you would guess, just because there's just so many people. Because there's a lot of people even around you that are essentially sitting in the mud, leaned against a rocky, broken outcropping, and trying to nod off and get some sleep that way, with all these horns and the drums and everything blaring. But you guys still do have your tents, of course, which will keep the rain out enough to get some rest, barring the noise and so on from the siege army.
Does Pogo know where the other guys? I feel like Pogo would want to kind of find out a timeline, find out if he needs to, if something's going to happen soon. Does he have the ability to go talk to one of the people in command, or find those people that he was just talking to?
Yeah, I mean, so Pepperjack, you saw the direction that he walked off, and Sarah followed him, so you could presumably, chase up to him or find Samson as a lieutenant. I mean, you can find just about anybody. So
I think I'd like to ask who's still with me, Arteme.
Yeah, Arteme, Norok, and Pogo, or Arteme and you and Norok are together.
I'd like to ask them if they know what the timeline is, and if they don't, if one of them wants to come with me to find out, just to make sure we don't go to sleep while they're trying to resurrect whatever the fuck they're trying to resurrect.
Well, hang on, before you guys do, though, part of the reason that I didn't just jump you guys ahead through that long rest is because there was the question that everybody seemed to have forgotten about, including me, at the end of last week's session, that you guys are carrying the unconscious body of a disgusting, decrepit cannibal that is to the point that anybody that's within 5 feet of this thing is constantly nauseous. So unless you're going to sleep with this cannibal, right next to you, chained up nearby or something, not to mention she is kind of the enemy, so just leaving her alone is probably not a good idea.
Well, I would ask Norok what the hell he wants to do, because he's the one who didn't want to kill her. So
yeah, I'm just saying that
it's now up to him to figure that out.
Yeah, I wanted to point that out because
put her in the rain, shove some food in her mouth, and then tie her to a rock.
Personally, I would just literally bring Sai back to me and then crash, because I'm tapped out.
Sure.
He's turning into an Auroch for 6 hours, running the whole time with that huge
Yeah,
thing.
so I wanted to point that
trying
out.
not to kill her, I'm completely tapped, so now Norik has to figure out what to...
Yeah, I wanted to point that out too. You guys ran from 10 a.m. yesterday morning until like 1 a.m. So you guys ran for like 13 hours straight.
Pogo's too tired. He doesn't care. He's just gonna set up his tent, and he's either gonna set up his tent, or if he didn't see any half-attractive girl to go cozy up next to, in the wounded and sick, decrepit people, he'll just, I guess, be forced to pitch a tent. He's not a fan of pitching a tent in the rain. He's probably very frustrated that he has to do a little bit of physical labor.
There are more building. Well, you were never here before. There are more things set up, but the only buildings that aren't just tents are they look like they're, let's say, of functional use and not for sleeping. That's what the barracks tents are for.
How long would it take Pogo to do a quick check of the buildings around him to see if there's a spot that's comfortable, that he could either A, find an attractive girl to flirt with and just say like, hey, I'm just gonna sleep right next to you, no funny business, or B, somewhere that he could convince someone to let him sleep?
Give me an investigation check for Pogo, looking around at the buildings to see if anything might be functional.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah,
all
looking
right.
around, you see a structure that is built that has just copious amounts of smoke coming up out of the smokestack. It's still middle of the night, but it's still just nonstop going. It's probably some kind of a war forge. There is another that you take to be the mess hall by the amount of sound and noise coming out of it. Where they're like a tavern, essentially, like a war camp tavern. That kind of stuff. Like, you maybe could find a table and try to nap on one, but you do see sleepy people being thrown out the doors occasionally. So you gather they're probably kicking the sleeping people out, so the people that actually need to eat, the soldiers that need to eat or whatever, can sit in there or drink and play games or whatever. So.
All right. Well, in that case, I guess me and my mage hand are gonna try to set up a tent.
Okay.
Do I even have a tent? I don't even know if I have a tent.
So Arteme built tents for Sarah, Norok herself, and Samson, but she didn't ask for it back from Samson.
I definitely don't have a tent.
Well, I mean, if you're with, I mean, looking, or you were standing on top of this kind of rocky outcrop with an easy view.
Probably hop into Norok's tent with him. It's big enough.
I'll tell you what, I'll help you guys make the tent, and I'll use my mage hand to help make the tent. I'll do everything I can to make this fucking tent.
Wait, do I have any material left to make a tent?
You still had a little bit left, so it wasn't like a whole tent worth. But I mean, if you could find, because the Crowblinders and the Meow would have harvested all of the animals they could from around nearby, of course. So there might be skins left over.
Would I have a few skins left over from like what I hunted on the way back?
You gave those to Rook. Oh, no, on the way back. There weren't large enough animals. Like, you probably got some hares and stuff, but any larger game would have been pretty much wiped out.
Who's got that sack with all the gold that we stole from that? I'm sorry, not stole. That we.
Okay, so that means I would have to go and either find where they put it, or.
Well, you could check with Rook.
Yeah.
She's probably asleep, but
I'll go check with Rook and see if they need more tents made, and I'll like make one for Pogo, and then I'll make one for like.
Is there? Who's got the bag of holding? I'd like to go grab a couple gold pieces out of it that we got from the ship, and I'm just gonna find the cutest girl I can find, and I'm gonna flirt with her, even if she's stabbed through the leg.
Well, so they're tents. Like, all the soldiers, basically the people here are refugees who are underground, and refugees and wounded, basically. And then everybody else are the ones that are asleep, anyways, are sleeping in tents, in the barracks tents.
Ugh, this place is. There's no action here.
There's some 5-star accommodations. It's a ruin that they've tried to kind of co-opt as a siege camp. it's not going to be the Hilton.
Pogo's getting frustrated.
Okay, so just for
it's all wet.
A future note for Pogo's spell choices, keep in mind ones that you might want.
I know I know which one you're thinking of.
Well, that's one, but there's the Magnificent Mansion, and there's Tiny Hut, and then
Tiny Hut.
Yeah, and then also one that
Those
Pogo
are like
might
level
like is Unseen
3
Service.
spells, dude. You gotta burn a fucking
Yeah.
slot for it.
Yeah. But you generally only need them once a day too. So, anyways, Arteme, if you're going off to go check the mess hall, she is not there. I mean, it's full. It's packed full. There's people at every table and everything, and they're all, just as lively as they would be during the day, even though it's early in the AM. A lot of people are playing dice, playing games, stuff like that. You don't recognize a lot of the faces, but the handful that you do see, that were here previously, just might have been a different shift because you guys didn't go through and meet every soldier. Obviously, there's about 6,000 of them left.
Okay, well, I'll just go to the person at the bar and find out.
And find out what?
What happened to the skins and if they need more.
It's a man, and he kind of squints at you a little bit. He says, "Are you? I mean, I don't see any insignia. Who are you?"
Just someone that's been helping out, doing errands for Pepperjack.
When you say Pepperjack's name, he kind of just mouth tightens a little bit, nods a little bit. He says, "Really, I mean, you'd probably need to check with Rook. I mean, I know where they are, but I can't really just hand them out."
Well, she gave me some last time, and I brought whatever extra back, and I can make a few extra tents if needed.
Make a persuasion check. He says, "We do need more tents." Well, I mean, at least it wasn't a 1, right?
Yeah.
He says, "What's that?"
Did Pogo see her go into the inn? Does he have any idea what's happening right now, or is he just?
I mean, you're standing up on top of it, unless you've left. You're standing up on top of a big rock.
Well,
area.
unless you came with me because you were saying you didn't have a tent. Like,
Yeah, because that was the thing, is he's just trying to find a place. So if you were going to find a tent, I'd probably follow you, because apparently there's nowhere for me, because I don't have anything to make a tent out of. So I'm not going to stand out in the rain. I'd just follow you around.
You could find a tent too.
I could find a tent.
Well,
okay,
the barracks tents aren't like assigned to people. They're all there, and you just go in and find a cot and lay down.
Perfect.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go and just find a tent.
Yeah, it's not like for individuals. It's basically a big I mean, have you ever seen an army tent before? I mean, it's like a big room basically with just a whole bunch of cots, just rows of cots. So you just go through and find one, and then lay down.
I'm gonna find an empty one, and I'm going to lay down in my armor, and I'm going to hug my bag, and I'm just gonna try to go to sleep.
Okay. Then Pogo is nodding off to try to take a rest. Arteme, with that persuasion, he kind of, it looks like he wants to help, but he feels like his arms are tied, that he's not supposed to just
so
pass out.
I'm going to ask him where Rook is then, so I could go ask her for permission to come back to get them.
He says, I mean, I think she's asleep. She's off duty at the moment, but I mean, if you really need to interrupt her, she's probably going to yell at me for it, but it sounds like, maybe you've got business enough that she might not mind. And he kind of points off to an area which is next to where Pepperjack's command tent was.
Okay, well, maybe I'll wait till morning to wake her up.
Okay.
Or after my rest anyway. So I'll just go back to the spot where Norak was and set up my own tent.
Okay. Then Norak, having the kind of
I'll thank him. Sorry, I'll thank him first and tell him that I'll talk to Rook in the morning. And
he kind of nods and smiles at you, and just kind of goes back to what he was doing.
Sorry for interrupting.
No, you're fine. So what are you doing, G?
I'm going to go out of the way, kind of, to where the people aren't
like take her with you. And
take her with me, so that way there's not as many people that she's offending, and trying to find a way to secure her, and then when she does wake up, if I'm still awake, I'll give her some food. So, but I'm not going to wake her up, because I don't want to listen to her fucking scream all night. So.
Okay. So you're going to go ahead and set up your tent, there's go ahead and make. Are you trying to set your tent up then to sleep and just have her nearby so that when she wakes up, you're there?
Yeah, so that way I can get try to get some rest in the meantime, and tie her up and everything so she can't go running around if she wakes up. So.
Okay. Make a perception check on Norok. Sarah, by now it's been about an hour, so you probably have finished up shoring up the walls as best you can with Nebish and Nadir. They never spoke a word the entire time, by the way. They looked at you like it was you were communicating, with which areas to having worked on and so on, but they didn't speak at all. One of them is coughing a little bit. You think it's the girl, but it's hard to tell. But other than that, they weren't making any noise. And they both look like dead bone tired. In fact, like you would almost guess that they probably haven't slept hardly at all since you guys left, and you were gone a week, and they were already tired when you showed up before. But they were at least doing all they can to try to make these walls as strong as possible.
All right, you said the girl was coughing?
You think it's the girl. They look the same, so it's hard to tell.
I'm just gonna ask her, or, well, I guess, ask him, or whatever, if they're okay.
Hang on one sec. What was the name of that? Yes, you can, Fox. I'm trying to remember the name of it. It is... God damn it, I used it in our Dragon Heist game, but I can't remember what the name is off the top of my head. It starts with an S, but yes, you can, Fox.
Okay, I'll make one and give it to Narok so he can make sure she sleeps good.
Make sure that Sorsha sleeps? The cannibal? Okay. Alright. Then it won't take you too long to brew that, so if you're taking, 15 minutes or so to make that. For the twins, the one that you're by now, since you're she's like looking directly at you, you're pretty sure this is the female Nadir. She makes a gesture at her throat and kind of like points at her throat and kind of like makes a coughing sound, and that's it.
I'm going to use a charge of my ring of healing surges and just touch her shoulder.
Okay. There's no visual change, but she does smile a little bit. Like she smiles, like it's clear that it helped. She doesn't. It just outwardly, you're not seeing any difference.
All right, I'm gonna turn to the other one and ask if he wants a little bit as well.
He looks at his sister and then looks back at you. He doesn't shake or nod his head or anything. He just looks at her and then looks back at you like he's not really sure.
All right.
Make an insight check. Arteme, you finish that up and give that to Norok. Norok, you have a sleeping potion.
All right, I'll tell her thank you, and then I will tilt her head, Sorsha's head back and make her drink some of it, or all of it. Yeah.
Make a perception check on Norok. Sarah, you are 100% sure they don't trust you.
Right. So... I can use my ring of healing surges more than once on the same person, right?
Yeah.
Like more than one hit die?
Yeah, it's just an action, but there's no limit to how often you can use it.
Alright, then I'm gonna give him one and her the last one.
Okay. Neither of them pull away from you or anything. It's just I would say that by now you saw them with Pepperjack a little bit, and then before, when you guys were, when you were working on the walls, you saw them very hesitantly interacting with people. The Crowblinders and even the Miotau, and they don't seem like they trust anybody. You don't take it personally necessarily. It just seems like they are very hesitant to accept help or anything of that sort. But they both let you do it, and the boy does kind of has a small. He doesn't smile at you so much as it seems like he does maybe feel a little bit better, but isn't necessarily thankful or showing that thanks, I suppose. But they do seem like it did help. Norok, when you tip her head back and go to kind of force the sleeping potion, okay, I remembered what it was. I'm gonna tell Fox the name. There you go. You can write that down, Fox.
Okay.
Anyways, it took me a minute to remember the name. When you go to pour the sleeping draught, though, that Arteme made into her mouth, you kind of force her jaw open a little bit, and her mouth is filled with like black pustulent sores, and her tongue is gone. It looks like it was chewed off.
Okay. Are the sores closing her throat?
No, you pour it,
okay.
and it seems like it poured down. It just seems like okay. I guess when you've seen pictures of like Holocaust victims and stuff like that, you notice that they all have like little sores around their mouths and around their eyes and elbows, like any joints and that kind of stuff, right? You know what I'm talking about? So it's that kind of thing, but it looks like she chewed her own tongue off, probably, is what you would guess. And that is, diseased, basically, to this point. It's just, gone past the point of infection, and her mouth is essentially necrotic.
Okay. And so I'm guessing enough of the tongue is gone to where speech is going to be limited.
That's the reason that I pointed it out to you, is that it's clear that she probably won't be able to speak.
Okay.
So, I mean, even opening her mouth is probably painful, you'd guess, because it would, open those sores a little bit again and so on. So, but anyways, you do feed that to her. You don't notice an immediate reaction, but after kind of building your tent and settling down, it does seem like her breathing is shallowed a little bit. In fact, actually, okay. But you finish setting up your tent. Is she inside or outside?
I'll leave her outside for now, just on the outside.
Okay.
With the flap.
How you said secure her, but how?
Is there a place I can set up next to a tree or something like that? Install it where I can use some rope to bind her, hands. I mean, not super tight, but to where she can't get away.
The reason I had you roll that perception a little bit ago was to see if you could find another rocky outcropping or something up out of the mud to set up your tent, and you were able to find kind of a laid flat pillar. So it's not very wide. It's basically as wide as your shoulders. So you kind of build your tent where the frame is all the way to the ground, and then you're laying your back on this kind of chunk of stone that is up out of the ground, like a big square, like a coffin kind of a shape, essentially, laying on top of that. But there are no trees nearby, and all the trees that one of them, they wouldn't be inside anyways. All of those would have been stripped by the crowblinders already to use as wood for building framing and stuff like that. But there are other rocks that you can secure her to, but it's probably not all that, you wouldn't expect it to be all that durable for what you would find. Although she has like next to no strength left anyway, so she probably couldn't free herself even if you just tied the arms and the legs.
Then I'll just try to find the sturdiest looking rock that I can, secure her, set my tent up close to that.
Okay. Sarah, going back to go lay down?
Yeah, before I leave, I'm just gonna look at them and tell them that I hope it helps, and if they need anything, if they ever need anything, to come and find me. And then I'm gonna
You guys are all so nice.
I'm usually not, but they're kids.
Sarah's trying to turn a new leaf, which is what her going over to help Pepperjack is you know what I think it is? You know what I think it really is, Justin? You came in and you kind of a little bit fulfilled the role that Sarah had been of like fuck everybody, and this is all about me and Sarah being noble. Like that's a little. She wasn't quite that, that severe. I'm just kidding, but Sarah, noble background, she was playing to that a little bit, and this is character development for her that you're kind of, shining a mirror at her so she doesn't want to be that much of an asshole, I guess.
Pretty much.
Sure.
All right. So, anyways, Norak then laying down to try to sleep. Sarah heading back to camp, the kind of impromptu camp. The barracks tent that you found, Pogo, was packed full. You literally grabbed the last one. In fact, it's still warm. So the soldier that just hopped out of it to go back to the wall or wherever he is, probably had only left 10 minutes before.
He's gonna come back from his piss and I'm just be like, "Fuck off!"
It just pushes you over. You fall in the mud. Anyways, the ground underneath the tent's actually still dry because it was the tents were here before the rain began, at least.
Cool.
Then go ahead.
I just said I'm gonna throw down my little bedroll, nice and comfy. Wrap my noble clothing that I keep in my bag around my head. Use it as a pillow.
All right.
Wait, so is Pogo actually noble?
No, background-wise, he's an entertainer.
Hey, you don't have to tell people. Sure, maybe.
Well, so whether
How old are you?
Let's trade some information. Yeah, actual background. That's up to him if he wants to divulge that or not. But what is mechanics like the way that yours
he's
was?
Probably been a noble for a bit.
Well, that's giving a bit away.
Yeah. He was a mobile for sure. He was yes and no. Shades of gray.
Morning comes, though it is 10 a.m. now. Everybody's taking their long rest. The drums and the annoying horn bleats never stopped. But morning has come. The ranks of soldiers inside the walls are thinner now that that there's enough light. You can really see pretty clearly. There are soldiers all along the interior, perimeter, basically just inside the wall. You guys, Pogo still being in the tent, probably can't see it there, but Sarah and Arteme being on top of that kind of rocky, broken wall, you guys can see over the walls, and you're just surrounded by, what looks like probably a quarter-mile dense of distance from the wall out of the enemy all the way around. With the inside perimeter of the soldiers inside the walls being much too sparse. So, like, it doesn't look... you don't feel safe, I guess is how I would put that. But morning has come. It is still raining. It's not heavy storms or anything at this point. It's still just, kind of a steady rain, making the ground more and more muddy as time goes by. But morning has come at least anyway, so what are you guys doing?
We told Pepperjack not to, that what's-her-name was coming, right?
Yes.
Maivy?
Yes,
Yeah.
we did.
Yeah.
And then Baldy McBalderson said he knew about that. Not to worry about it or something.
Yeah, I wanted to point that out too, by the way. The picture for him, Justin, shows tattoos on his face. There were no tattoos on his face. Those are that'll come up later. But as far as Pogo sees, he just looked like a Vabian mage. He didn't otherwise stand out. Justin might recognize that those tattoos look very much like the ones at the Seerdoman that you've seen, both Maivy and the male Seerdoman that was at the docks. That's what those tattoos look like.
Pogo would meet up with the rest of the people and probably ask if they knew more about what's going on or what the game plan is to take on this giant, ridiculous, crazy army that's out front. They said something about resurrecting a demon or a vampire or a...
Are you talking about the
golem or
bloodless cosmic
something?
demon?
Yeah, whatever they were talking
That
about.
part? So
You guys
that
know more
was-
about that?
Well, that bloodless cosmic demon specifically, you would recognize that was part of the line that Squad Mage Bottle had written in his journal. That's why Samson said that. And what he was referring to, you would also know this because of the vast erudition, that the thing that was the end of the earlier campaign where the moon exploded, that's probably in reference to what that was. It was a bloodless cosmic entity that was swallowing up planets, entire planets. And that's what it sounded like Bottle was referring to in the journal. That's what Samson assumed anyways and said to Pepperjack.
So, do I get the impression then that this guy is trying to summon one of these to fight the bad guys? Is that...
I'm not sure what you're asking. Is who trying to summon? No, the answer is no, but I'm not sure who.
Other mage guy. Sounded
Okay,
like they
were you
needed
referring
the
to the
object.
summoning process? No,
Yeah.
what they're trying to summon is literally a fort. They're trying to summon a big cat, like a defensible
Yeah,
cat.
okay. So the
Got it.
summoning of the evil guy is something from the ship. It's unrelated to this.
Okay, so they're just gonna try to summon something else, like a fort.
a
Then?
fort.
Is that what? Okay.
They called it what, the Raven
Ooh,
Fort or
that makes
something?
me feel
Yeah.
much. That makes me feel much better then.
You thought the good guys
Thought
were
that was
summoning
gonna go
a
very
giant cosmic
sideways.
demon
I
to
mean-
eat them all?
Hey, it wouldn't be the first time someone was
No.
like, "We'll just summon the demon. He'll take care of these guys, and nothing bad will happen."
Yeah. It's not a bad plan, but that's not the plan that is currently.
Got it.
Although I will tell you this, that I kind of rushed through the ending last time because we were running late. But there was very clearly a very aggressive. What's the word I'm looking for? Acerbic, I guess, argument going on between Ozzy and Pepperjack when you guys arrived. They were very much at odds and arguing about something. You don't necessarily know what it was about because you guys kind of rushed into it and you didn't really, have a chance to overhear anything. But they were very clearly arguing, and Ozzy said that they'll, return to this argument later on.
And Samson went away with them, and we haven't seen them since, right? They're just on somewhere else.
So Pepperjack sent Samson away to take the Olderok, the artifact that you guys brought
Sure.
back. Pepperjack sent him away to go take that to the mages so that they can start the summoning rituals.
Yeah.
But while he was walking away, Ozzy stopped him, and you saw the two of them talking, not arguing, and then Samson went off to complete his orders.
I'd like to go find someone in charge and find out exactly what the game plan is. I feel like I've worked too hard over the last few days to just be left in the sidelines.
Sure. Before we get too far to that, though, Norok, you wake up. The sleeping cannibal is still there, leaned over to one side with a kind of a thick brown liquid pouring out of one side of her mouth. But she's still there, not moving.
Okay. So I'll go shake her a little bit and see if she responds, or if she's fucking dead.
Okay. Give me a medicine check. Okay. You can feel that her heart is beating, but it's beating very slowly. You can tell just by looking at her, of course, that her constitution is very low, extremely low. Let's say a normal dose of the sleeping drought that Arteme brewed up for a normal person would probably, get them. Let's just say that she's overdosed on this stuff, and not in the way that it's going to hurt her. She's just she's still alive. She's just not going to
Basically,
be.
a normal person would sleep about 6 to 8 hours with a sleeping potion, but because she has more of in her system, it's going to take longer to leave, so she'll sleep longer.
Yeah, or at least, I mean, you could probably wake her, but she is going to be extremely drowsy.
So suggestion, not wake her.
Yeah.
Maybe wake her real quick and feed her a fucking sandwich and then get her back to sleep. Something that makes her less bitey.
You haven't seen the inside of her mouth, but eating is probably not exactly possible.
You would need liquids and only liquids. So
but Arteme, you saw the inside of her mouth, but this is just Norok is off by himself. He didn't camp with you guys.
Right. Yeah.
But you're going to need to do something to deal with this because you do have essentially an enemy,
Yeah.
in the camp here.
Well, first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna find Rook. I'm gonna get permission to grab some of the skins, so I have something to do later, and then I'm gonna go find Ozzy to find out what was going on with that argument because I'm curious.
Can I go with her to find Ozzy then?
Sure. So the two of you, we'll catch back up with you guys in just a second here. Then, Norok, what are you doing? You can't just leave her, and it's basically you're gonna have to deal with this problem one way or the other. You can just choke her to death if you want. I don't care, but you got to do something. The soldiers won't like it if you got an enemy behind in the camp here that you just kind of left.
Yeah, true. Yeah, well, I'm guessing there's not much else to do, so I'm gonna wait till nobody's looking and just finish her off as quickly as possible. So,
after all of that trouble, you're just gonna kill her?
I told you I should have fucking killed her.
You made me go through the trouble of not killing her just to kill her, really.
And
well, she
then
can't even talk, so I mean, what am I gonna do?
I mean, she can probably write.
There are other ways of communication too. Yeah. I mean,
I'm not totally positive about this, but I don't think we murder mute people in the country that we live in. I could be wrong. This is California. We're pretty liberal over here, so.
Sure. Well, how long
Texas,
do we have?
Probably.
How long do we have until we have to move out? Or
you don't know. I mean, you know what? I mean, none of you really, except for maybe Sarah, would have any familiarity with how a military siege goes, and Sarah only from history books at best. So go ahead and give me a history check on Sarah. The DC is going to be pretty high though. But I mean, there are people all around. You can just kind of ask somebody, certainly too. But Norok wouldn't have any idea to begin with.
No.
Yeah, no. I mean, you've read about sieges before. You just don't necessarily know how, what it's like on the inside of the walls until you've seen it.
Well, I know now.
So, is Norok just gonna? I guess what? So it's up to you. What would Norok do here? But specifically, so I guess what I wanted to make clear is important is that this has so far been your only connection to what it was you were seeking for years and didn't find. So I mean, if you're just going to murder her, that's fine. But that's kind of up to you on what Norok would do in this situation. That doesn't sound to me like what he would do. But you tell me. It's your character.
Yeah, true.
Pour some soup down her fucking mouth.
I will. Is anybody else? If I go back to where they were before, are they there, or do they move out yet?
Arteme and Pogo left, and what is Sarah doing? Becky started to talk and then interrupted her. So, what's Sarah doing?
if I knew they were going to go see Ozzy, I would have gone with them.
Okay. All right. So you get to the rocky little camping spot, and the tents are there, but your friends are not.
All right, then I'm gonna go back and make sure that she's secure and everything, and then go look for them. So just kind of leave her for a minute. Nope, she's there.
Oh, someone else is gonna fucking murder her.
Well, she is outside the tent.
On the bright side, you don't have to do it. So there you go.
Oh, actually, yeah. Okay, good point. I'm going to move her into the tent.
So all your stuff's gonna smell like shit and vomit for the sleeping the next night. All right.
Yeah, I guess
so there's no correct answer.
At least no one's gonna go into that tent.
That's probably
It's gonna be like, oh, what the nope. No.
They'll keep their distance because of how bad it smells. That's for sure. All right, so you move her in. It's like moving, like weight-wise, it might be probably 45 pounds, almost nothing. Like, and it's I'm sure it's dead weight, but it's like moving, a sack of potatoes. Like, it's almost no resistance at all. Just feels frail. Like you're even careful having to set her down that you don't break a tibia just setting her down. And then you go head off where they were heading to the mess hall. So I guess that if that would be one of the earlier places Norok would check. What do you think?
Yeah, that's probably what I would have done. I would assume they were probably there, like getting something to eat before we go, or trying to find Pepperjack or whatever. So
okay,
I would head there.
All right. Well, then you guys, you meet up with them. You as soon as you step into the mess hall there, it's a more solid structure than you saw it before. Of course, there's actually 4 walls now. They look like they were, formed and shaped directly out of solid mud, though. And then there's a thatched roof that, at least so far, seems to be keeping most of the dripping. Like there's only dripping in a few places. But there's a large fire pit in the center of the chamber, and where it's pretty cold outside and kind of chilly, this large fire pit is keeping this room nice and toasty. And then there's this kind of mud-made stovepipe that goes up through the ceiling. It's packed full of Imperial soldiers in Miotao, though, that are arranged around these makeshift tables, like the same kind of wooden barrels and crates that you guys have seen before. And then more on one of these tables, they're soldiers throwing dice and playing like dice games and stuff like that. There's still, tension and foreboding kind of feel to the air, but it does seem like everybody's at least trying to relax as best they can. Considering the circumstances. Rook is at the far end of this hall, though, and she's actually digging through a crate. Like there's something behind the bar that she's digging through, and then stands up and kind of sets it. And mostly it looks like they're big glass like tankards, essentially, that she's setting out and then grabbing more and setting them out. But she is there. Norok, when you step in, though, Arteme, Sarah, and Pogo, you guys are already over there, probably nearby.
I'd like to. Would I notice that that's where we're going? Because I don't think I've met Rook yet.
You've definitely not met her before. Go ahead.
Can I tell that that's who everyone's walking to?
Yeah, she's the only one behind the bar.
All right. I'd like to walk up first and say, 2 ales, please. And then clink a piece of silver on the counter and smile at her.
She stands up, kind of gives you a sideways grin. She says, we're not really taking coin for it these days, but I suppose I wouldn't mind a tip. And she grabs that and pulls out the one of the glasses that she had just set over there. They're much too large for you, though. Sets it on the counter.
That's what you think.
But she grabs that and then fills it about halfway from a cask. You know what a small cask. Well, yeah, the kind you guys blew up. Remember, like a barrel, basically like a small barrel that she's kind of tipped over one side to fill it. And then sets it on the counter for you.
Fantastic. And then I'm just gonna sit there and wait for the rest of the group to talk to her.
Okay.
I don't know what's going on.
She looking over your shoulder. She sees Sarah and Arteme approaching, and she kind of gets a big happy smile on her face and starts to lean over the counter like she's trying to hug Arteme.
And I'm just gonna give her a big hug. No, not for me. Not for the silver piece.
I think she just kind of like grins at you but pushes you over.
I'm gonna double fist my beers.
Right. Oh, the 2 were for you?
Yeah, they're for me. I'm just gonna have one in each hand.
Well, they're both only half full, so you've got about a whole one. She did not assume that they were both for you, but you've got about one full one, which is way too much beer for you. But she tries to give Arteme a hug as you guys are approaching.
Okay, I'll just give her a hug back.
She says, to be honest, I'm glad to see you, but I really didn't expect you guys would make it back. How did you even find your way in?
Oh, you know, one of those big flying creatures? I fucking dropped one to the ground. That's all. No big deal.
She looks
Goes
at
back
you
to
and then
drinking.
she looks back at Sarah and Artemis. Is like, is he with you? Did you pick up some stragglers on your way in?
Stragglers!
She just grins back. was that intentional sound effects, Justin?
No, you want yeah. Yes?
I heard you drinking. So. She says, "But how did you? I mean, how did you manage to get through all of them? We've been surrounded for days. I never thought we'd see you again."
We snuck around and came in through the secret. And
She kind of like mouth goes dropped, or jaw drops a little bit, and she kind of looks left and right. She says, just let's keep that a little bit quiet."
I would have whispered it. Gee.
Well, okay. I mean, it's fine. She you know, I guess because of the way you said it, maybe she probably assumed that you didn't know that. Basically, not everybody knows that there is a secret way in and out.
You know, I rode a dinosaur.
Make a.
And then I just go back to drinking.
Okay, was this a non sequitur, like just out of nowhere?
Yeah, just because they're telling the story about how they got into the trap.
Make
secret door.
a persuasion check.
All right.
Let's see how quickly you get on her nerves. She just gives you kind of a sideways grin again. Like, she says, "How did you? I mean, through all of that, and you ended up bringing this riffraff in."
Don't be mad at me because I know how to have a good time. I'm probably about like 3/4 of the way done with the beer she gave me at this point. It's been a long couple of days. I'm pretty excited to sit in a warm room and have a couple drinks.
As you guys are having this conversation, though, there's kind of there's a table. I say table, but of course this is a makeshift, barrel and everything that's behind you. That seems like they at least have overheard some of this. Like, Rook was very excited to see you guys, and that kind of happiness is not common in this place at this moment, clearly. And the table behind you, you hear one of them. It's a human voice, and he says, "Somebody get them to play some dice." I mean, nobody sneaks into a siege unless they're incredibly brave and incredibly stupid, and I really want to. That's the kind of person I want to play against.
Pogo's down to play some dice. I'm gonna finish my beers, and I'm gonna go sit down with the group of soldiers. Maybe I can find out some more things that are happening outside.
Okay. So you sit down with them. They're playing a game called Knuckles, kind of like blackjack, like dice blackjack, basically. I have the things you can actually play if you want to, but you sit down with them, and they're just throwing it back and forth. I guess we'll switch back and forth here as if it's as if the party's split. But what are Sarah and Artemis? And by this time, Norak, you would have made it over. So you see Pogo sitting at a table with two other soldiers who are drinking and playing dice, and then you see Sarah and Artemis talking to Rook at the bar.
Okay, well, I would ask Rook about, like, how many tents would need to be made, and if I could have, like, materials to make them. I'll make a few big ones and a small one for our straggler, in case, because sleeping in, like, the bigger tents isn't always the best option. For us, it's a bit easier to move around if we have our own personal tent.
She says, "Yeah, I mean, as far as how many, there's as many as we can make. They're really, as we are right now, there just aren't enough for everybody anyway, so the more the better."
Okay, so if you give me materials, I'll make some after talking to Pepperjack and Ozzy.
She says, "Well, I'll tell you what, I mean, I'm kind of busy anyway, just right back there," and she kind of gestures to the area behind the bar. It's not really, there's no wall. It's not like, it would be the back room, except there is no wall. It's just basically a big area, and there are a bunch of wooden crates, and she says they're just back there, so grab whatever you need, and as many as you can make would be helpful.
Okay, I'll go grab that.
Okay. What is Sarah doing?
Now I have a dice set in my inventory. That means that I'm proficient in dice, correct?
I mean, proficiency is separate from being proficient is separate from actually having them, but you most likely are, because usually that's you're proficient in duels or in dice gaming, so it's on your abilities tab under proficiencies.
Okay, I thought so. So I'm just going to watch over Pogo's shoulder.
Okay.
Try to keep myself from playing the game because I know we don't have a whole lot of time.
Well,
see Ozzy.
Okay. Time-wise, I'll tell you that make perception checks, everybody. Okay, Sarah got a natural 20. Why are you at disadvantage, G? Oh, that was advantage. Never mind, from your shield. Okay. Really, well, Fox got a 20, Sarah got a natural 20, and Norak ended up with a 16. Pogo was the other one that rolled shitty.
Damn it!
You're paying it. You're just enjoying the
Sure.
a beer and a warm room and playing some dice, not paying attention to the kind of the mood
I
of
got
the room.
real excited coming in.
Yeah. It's an environment that feels a bit like a hurry up and wait kind of a thing, where it is exceptionally boring and basically just nonstop drills where just waiting for something to happen. So there really isn't a lot for a soldier to do necessarily in a siege, and it's basically just eat what you can, ration as best you can, and just survive until something happens. In this particular case, you guys bringing the Old Rock here allows them to what they're intending to do, as they described to you before you came back in, to summon the Crow Fort, which means that they can have better defenses and the ability to get all these people out. Because what they basically, the reason that they needed the Crow Fort, one is to actually have some defensible positions, but two, there are teleportation circles inside of it, so they can teleport everybody out. And that's kind of what they're trying to do, basically, to get everybody out of here. So you guys recognize that the mood of the room is very still scared, certainly, but is like bored more than anything. Hence the people playing games and so on.
I'd like to ask the soldiers if there's any interesting rumors about what's going on and what the battle strategies are.
There's a little bit of a squint. The guy you're talking to is actually the two of them that are there are both crowblinders. They're both human men. I'm
also going to ask them if they're sleeping in the tents outside or if they have nicer accommodations.
The man that said that initially when you turned around and came over there, he says, I mean, I wish I was rank, but just us enlisted gentlemen, we were just in the tents.
Ugh. They're not great. Slept in one last night.
I would say you probably do have a little bit of a stitch in one side from sleeping uncomfortably on a cot, but it was definitely better than sleeping on the ground as you had been for the last couple days as you and that run and everything, of course. But after that, you were mostly in the cart, so you probably didn't spend a whole lot of time actually running.
I missed Norak's backpack.
You ran and then took a broom ride for most of it, so you didn't really spend too much time with boots on the ground. But
it's true.
So Sarah, watching them play, are you trying to see if they're trying to cheat him, or
I'm trying to win?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna see if either of them are cheating.
Okay.
And I am. Are we playing for money?
Yeah, they do ante up, but it's like they're just coppers. Like it's not they're pennies basically. But I mean, when you see that on the table, if you say so, they might be willing to hop up. But
yeah, would you guys like to maybe increase this to some silver pieces or maybe some gold pieces even? We're not gonna live. We're not gonna live forever. Clearly.
There's what's the word I'm looking for? A morbid chuckle from the both of them. He says, "That's for sure," and he kind of taps his tankard on the table. He says, "But I don't have enough gold on me to really afford that. I'll do some silver though."
All right, let's go. Let's do it.
All right. The man that's dealing, he says, "My name's Buckles. What do you go by?"
Buckles. Is that your name? Okay.
Yeah.
My name's Pogo. You may have heard of me.
I haven't. And he turns over to his friend. He says, "Rabbit, you heard of Pogo?"
I used to perform up and down the coast in this area.
Yeah, we're not really from here. I mean, we kind of just go where we're told, and hopefully this time we'll be off onto some other place before too long. But we'll see.
Yeah, I definitely do the exact opposite of go where I'm told.
Well, we don't have that luxury.
I actually think it's more fun to go where you're not supposed to go. Makes for an interesting life.
Yeah, your folk tend to be notorious for that. He's referring to halflings.
Yeah.
right. Is Sarah playing then, or just watching?
I'm just watching because I don't
Okay.
want to get wrapped up in a game when we go find Ozzy.
Okay.
So, any other interesting things that we should know about? We just showed up here, helping out the Crow Blinders, and thought maybe you guys would have some interesting information about this war going on around us.
I mean, I don't want to be here. I don't feel like we even should be here, but you know, we do what we must, and we were sent to try to help these folk as best we can, and hopefully we'll get as many of them out as we can. But beyond that, I mean, I guess we got to be a little more specific.
Yeah. Do you think we've got a strategy that's going to win?
Pepperjack's never failed us before.
That's good. How long have you known Pepperjack?
Let's see. I enlisted 8 years back, and he was just a captain then. So I mean, 8 years.
He does not like halflings very much. Have you noticed that? Not a
Pepperjack.
fan.
It's Samson you're thinking of.
Oh, Samson.
Yeah. Pepperjack
tired.
he didn't show any. He didn't show any racism towards halflings. In
Oh,
fact,
no,
actually,
no.
he seemed quite happy to. He was
Do you
chuckling
guys
at you.
know Samson?
One of the rabbit, the other guy spits.
Oh yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, he says the least we speak of him, the better.
Well, I was just gonna say he's a bit of a dick, but you know.
That's a fair assessment there, Gleeman.
All right, let's roll these dice.
He taps he's got a cup, like a dice cup, and he taps it on the table, and he rolls out his. Buckles is the dealer. He rolls out you see his dice. He rolls a 10 and a 2.
Then how does this work? Then I roll mine, and then he goes and decides if he's gonna hit or not.
So how it works is basically basically. So ones can be either 1 or 11, and you want to get as close to 21 or 21
Sure.
without going over. And you can basically take turns. You know, everybody rolls their first 2d10. You can roll as many as 7 total. So the first one is called the knuckle. The first 2, that was the knuckle there, and then each one thereafter is called a tap. But if you get all the way to 7 dice on the table, you automatically win. All right, so you got a 5 and a
14.
and a 9. You've got a 14. And they both put 2 silver down, so it would be a 2 silver ante. Did you ante in with them?
Oh, of course.
All right. So the total ante, or the total pot then, is 6 right now. The Buckles, seeing that, Rabbit's got to roll his. Hang on. 7 and 2 for a total of 9.
I didn't realize we were actually gonna play it.
I mean, I have a spreadsheet that does.
Okay, we'll just play one round.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, there's enough that everybody could if they wanted to, but yeah, it's a little spreadsheet that I put together to do all these for tons of other games, just as the one that they're playing right now.
Well, after having grabbed the stuff from behind the bar, I'm just gonna tap Sarah's shoulder to say, like, we're gonna go find people.
To go find
All
who?
right.
Pepperjack and Ozzy.
Okay.
I'll catch up to you.
And what's Norik doing? You going with Sarah and Arteme? Or are you sitting at the table?
Yeah, I'll go with them. Is Rook still there? Or are we still sitting where Rook is?
Rook is still there. Sarah and Arteme are leaving. Pogo's sitting at the table playing dice.
All right, then before we leave, I'm gonna go talk to Rook and tell her that I have a guest in my tent, and that the soldiers might not like it. So if she can, then to go check on it. If she gets him, check on her when she gets a minute.
Do you have any soap?
Yeah, pretty much. So
She kind of turns her, like, squints at you a little bit, turns her head to the side. What do you mean guest?
I'll just be honest. One of the Albashar is someone I used to know, and she possibly has some pertinent information for me. So if I can keep her alive temporarily, I'd like to be able to talk to her first. But she's unconscious from a sleeping potion at the moment.
She gives a deep sigh. She kind of puts an arm out, or a hand out on your arm. She says, "That's awful, and I'm sorry, but I don't know. I mean, we can't. I don't know what to tell you. We can't really hide that. I don't know. I mean, I'll do what I can. Where is she?
She's on the out areas, which and I'll tell where it is by the rock and everything.
Where you put your gun? Okay.
Yeah, and then I'll ask her if she can at least just go check on her, because obviously if somebody comes by and they find her and they take her or whatever, there's nothing she can do about that. I'm not asking her to, get herself in trouble or anything, just to kind of check on her, especially if she can. So.
She nods. She says, "I'll try. I mean, do you mind watching the bar for me until I get back then?"
Sure, no problem. Thank you.
She behind the counter, she pulls out a leather pouch. You can't tell what's in it, of course, but she just grabs a leather pouch and throws it over her shoulder, and she heads out the door. Buckles, he wasn't paying much attention to this, but now that you guys have all rolled your initial 2 dice, he says, "Well, on the table then there's a 12, a 9, and you got a 14 there, Pogo. You want to throw down any more coins?"
Yeah, I'll throw down 2 more silver.
Rabbit grins at that. He says, "Yeah, I'll match that." Makes a total of 10. Buckles has to. He's the dealer. So there's a total of 12 silver sitting in the middle of the table there. Go ahead and roll 1 more d10.
So Pogo is, if he rolls more than a 7, he's going to try to do it in a way that he can like move the dice to something else. So not necessarily knowing what it's going to be, but he's going to find a way, like with like his hand motions to. Oh, he's going to cheat. If he obviously sees it's going to come up higher than a 7, so they didn't cheat.
Okay. It'd be pretty tough to cheat when you're throwing a die into the middle of a table.
I don't know. I'm thinking if you rolled the die by you and then you saw kind of how it was rolling, and then you kind of maybe did a quick
Like bump the table and then all the other
table bump or a quick like grab for a sleight of hand. You grab for like a beer next to you, but the other hand does something like a magician's trick. Like a magician's trick.
Okay. All right. Well, if it comes to it, we'll give it a shot here.
Right.
You roll yours though. You see, Buckles rolled a 5. Rabbit rolled a 6. That there is a 17. Buckles a 17. Rabbit has 15. You've got 18.
So
he says, Buckles says, "Well, I don't know how long you've been playing Knuckles, but I've got to stay here. So I've got to stay." Rabbit says, he taps. He says, I'll take another. So it's between you and Rabbit.
So in this game, then, if I up it again, I have to roll, or if I match him, I have to roll.
You got an 18, basically. So you've already beat the dealer, but as long as you don't bust. But Rabbit's got another roll. He's going to tap and get 1 more roll, which means that if he gets a 6 or lower, he's going to beat you. Sorry. Well, if he gets a 3, he'll tie you. If he gets a 4, 5, or 6, he'll beat you.
So if I can match his bet but not roll.
Yeah, if you're going to, is that what you're going to do?
So
then?
I'm gonna go ahead and match your bet, but I'm gonna stay here. Yeah, go ahead.
Rabbit says, I'll throw 2 more in then. Sound good?
Let's do it. Yeah,
right.
2 more sounds great.
All right. That means you put 6 total in, right? Is your ante plus 2 bets of 2 each? Yeah. All right. Then he will roll again. He got a 5.
Oh,
He wins.
you beat me.
Yeah, he got a 20.
That's okay.
And he reaches in, kind of grabs his
Any,
pile of 16 silver.
So me and my friends here have to get out of here. But anything else you can tell me about this place? Anything we should know? Anything that would be good for us to know?
I mean, keep your head down. You know, they just keep ears open and sleep as best you can, certainly. But you know, I guess, when did you guys get in?
We just got in.
So you haven't been here for any of the fighting, then, huh?
That's better. I'm sure in your mind there's something more important that you can let me in on.
He says you haven't been here for any of the fighting, then, huh?
Only the fighting we did.
Outside, though?
Yeah, we had to fight some fucking dinosaurs. You know those giant fucking things flying around in the sky? I pulled one down to the ground.
Make a persuasion check. Because you're not actually lying, so... They don't seem to believe you.
All right.
They both kind of give you like a sidelong glance, like bullshit, because you have the atmosphere of being a bullshitter, maybe is the impression you got. But Buckle says, well, I mean, I'm sure that was impressive and all. Clearly it sounds like he doesn't believe you. But if you hear, any loud crashing or booms or something. I mean, if you're capable of fighting, get there as fast as you can. If you're not, get underground as fast as you can.
See, that wasn't too hard. And then I'm going to get up. I'm going to thank him for the game, and I'm going to go meet up with the rest of the group. I'm also going to go to the bathroom right now, so I'll be back in a minute.
Okay. All right, so Sarah and Arteme, you guys are heading off to try to find Pepperjack. Ozzy, who are you going for? I guess
Either
where
or.
are you looking? I suppose. Okay, so you just whoever you find first, kind of thing.
Yeah, because I'm really curious about their conversation.
Okay. I guess then tell me where you're going.
Probably the command center and any of the like higher rank.
Okay. I mean, most of the lieutenants are camped near the command tent, which is where Pepperjack's tent is. You don't necessarily know if he was there or not, but when you make your way there, you can see that there's smoke coming out of the command tent, so it's clearly occupied. You heading in?
Yep.
Okay. With you approaching from the outside, anyways, the tent flap is open, so it's not like you're just barging into a meeting or anything. But you step inside. Pepperjack's in there by himself, and he just leaned over that same table, looking at a map. And the map is different now. Like before, the map that he had on there was kind of the region, and this time it's hastily drawn. It's just basically a rolled out parchment where it's clear that they have dusted off more than once, where it's basically been the equivalent of erasing it as best they can, and then redrawn of this kind of area map. It looks like it's supposed to be representing Dunskathak. You're looking at the opposite side of it, from him, of course, but it looks like it's probably the surrounding area. He kind of looks up from his table, though. He says, "Oh, I mean, good to see you guys, but what can I do for you?"
Do we know how long this summoning thing's gonna take?
Are you asking?
Yes.
Are you asking him?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, sorry. I thought you. The way you said that, I thought you were asking like Arteme or Ben or Fox if they knew. He looks back. He's already looking back down at the map. He says it really depends on how many mages we can get to assist. It'll probably be somewhere in the neighborhood of 4 or 5 days. And I just. And he kind of shakes his head. He just kind of what's what I'm looking for. He kind of voice gets quieter, like draws off basically until he's just not talking anymore.
Okay. I would ask if he needs help with anything.
Really, yeah, but it's not really the kind of help you guys can provide, I'm afraid.
Okay.
Really, what we need is to hope Clover makes it back in time. I will
Any
tell
way
you,
to help her.
not where she is directly, but if she does make it back, we're going to need to set off some flares. And maybe you guys can help with that. I've got to make my best guess. She didn't answer me this morning when I sent it, so I'm just hoping to hear from her soon.
Okay.
And he's referring to the sending stone. You know that he's talking about the sending stone
Yeah.
that Sarah had earlier.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask if flares have to be set off manually, or if we could set them, like, sneakily set them up to set them off with, like, remote.
When I say flare, I really just mean kind of aiming at the sky and making it as bright as possible. It's really, whatever means of doing that. We do have, let's say, mundane means of doing so, and those really kind of have to be done with a fuse and a lighter. But
Wait,
he does
what are we trying to do?
make insight checks. Pogo, you would be probably still another couple of minutes behind, basically. They went to the command tent. They're talking to Pepperjack.
Oh, that should have been in the dice tower. Sorry.
Norok, you're still at the bar, right? You're just watching the bar until she gets back.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, it's hard to read. It's clear that something, that he's distracted. Like he's like half there. He's barely paying attention to you guys.
Okay, I'd ask him if he knows where Oz is by chance, and then if he wants a bit of healing for his leg.
He kind of
whatever he's doing.
he grumbles a little bit. He says, as far as I know, he's down in the Undercroft. He's trying to, assist with the summoning as best he can.
Okay.
As for the healing, no thanks, miss. I mean, I appreciate it certainly, but any spare resources you have, the soldiers need it more than I do. So if that's something if you're willing to help in that way, by all means, if you can head over to the infirmary and patch a wound here and there. If they can get, back up to the front and be ready for the next time they break over these walls, that'd be useful.
Sure.
While they're having this conversation, do I see anything weird on the map?
Make a perception check. Pogo, you'd be showing up at the outside of the tent by now. Looking over it, there is you can't tell if it's supposed, like, what it's supposed to represent. It looks like it's supposed to be maybe like a hill or a mountain or something that's not there. It's like you've seen the outside of Dunskathak when you guys came in. It was in the middle of the night and it was storming, sure, but you guys spent a few days inside, especially on top of that rocky outcropping where you guys have been camping. That there isn't a hill there, but on the map it's like a big circle, and it looks like it was supposed to maybe represent a hill. You're not really sure. Just like that would be your first assumption, is that looks like how somebody would draw a hill on this kind of topographical map. But there is no hill there. Like you've seen it. Like you've been around the outside of Dunskathak and seen that there is no hill there.
Okay. Do I know what is there?
You saw it 3 hours earlier.
Big
Hour and a half
old,
earlier.
not a hill.
Right now it's a big old bunch of soldiers and bad guys that are out there.
Okay, that's what.
But geographically, there isn't anything there that you're familiar with.
Okay.
You didn't go out there to actually look, at the ground out there or anything of that sort. But it's not where. So it would be on the southeast side, and the secret entrance is in the northeast side. So your first thought is maybe that's what it's supposed to be, but it wouldn't be in the right place. And since this is supposed to be like a planning map, that it wouldn't make sense for that to be wrong. So it wouldn't quite add up for it to just be representing where the secret entrance is. And he has like little stones all over this map, all the way around to like little like river rocks, like smooth pebbles, basically, all the way around it, that are probably, you gather, supposed to be representing where different groups of the enemy soldiers are.
Alright.
What are you guys doing? Pogo, you just came in. You see Arteme and Sarah having a awkwardly quiet conversation with Pepperjack, who you met the night before.
So I just kind of loudly walk up to them and be like, "Party's over here, everybody!" Because I've had a few drinks. And then I'd tell everyone that I had a few drinks. Sorry about that. And then I'd ask what's going on.
Check. Okay, make an insight check.
Alright. Fuck, I've been just terrible today.
Yeah, nobody rolled really well on that one there. Yeah. Pepperjack kind of looks up at you, and there's like no change in his gesture, in his face. Looks dour. Looks like he's very deep in thought, I guess, and then looks right back down. Doesn't say anything. Doesn't seem to react. Looks back down at his map.
I'd like to ask him what he thinks our chances are here getting this fort transported over us. If he's confident in it, or if he's not.
Without looking up, he kind of shakes his head a little bit from side to side. He says, "Right now, just being honest, they don't look good."
Oh, anything we can do that might increase those odds? Because I don't really want to get eaten by those fucking things out there.
He says, "Are you, by chance, a mage of the higher A-lifts?"
No, but I can sing and dance and stuff in my pants. The usuals.
He does not chuckle.
I could bring you a beer. Would that help at all? You classically handsome military man.
He actually does look up at that. He says, "You know what? Absolutely, that might actually."
Oh, right. I'll go grab him a beer. How far away am I from the beer?
It's right around the corner. It's like
I'm gonna go grab him a tall, frothy one. I'll grab myself a halfling-sized beer and bring it back up to him.
Well, Norok, as you're manning the bar, nobody else has come up to the bar. They seem maybe a little intimidated or curious why a non-pro blinder Yogg is manning the bar all of a sudden. So nobody else has come in. But Pogo does come back in asking for even more beer than the human side.
And then I'd also like to pretend like I don't even know him. Barkeep! I need one large beer for the commander captain guy up there with the leg, and I need a half beer for myself, and make it snappy. All right. And then I'm gonna snap a little bit too and smile. Shouldn't you be wearing an apron or something behind there?
There's some OSHA violations.
Sanitary.
I'll pour in the beers, and then when I hand him the human-sized one, I'll say, "No, make sure you hold this with 2 hands. You wouldn't want to drop that, okay?"
Oh no, you know that's alcohol abuse where I come from. So understandable. All right, big man, you keep up the good work, doing the Lord's work out there.
And I'll just wave at him and nod.
Also pretending that you don't know Pogo. All right, while you're kind of holding these like armed, like elbows touching both of these big
Sure.
mugs, trying to carry them back. Sarah and Artemi are still in there with him, of course. He does look back up at the two of you and he says, "Look, I know that neither of you have proper training. You've never taken the test. You weren't Imperial studied mages of any sort, but the capabilities you do have, how familiar are you with Recondidus? Is that anything you can help with?"
I could do some. And I could also, from in here, I could send Sai out to do reconnaissance for me as different animals to where I could see what she sees without actually being
Did you spend the hour to summon her back in the middle of the
Yeah,
night, by
I
the way?
did before the long rest. I said it.
Okay, I thought you did. I just wanted to make sure. I was pretty sure you had. I just wanted to make sure. He says, scouting, that could at least help. I mean, can she fly?
I could change her to be able to fly.
That could be useful. I gotta tell you, I mean, she could get shot down. So, I mean, I know a few mages, so I know that that's something you can usually bring back, but it's not something they're generally happy about.
No, definitely not. If I'm not mistaken, I could probably make her invisible while she's out there, while still using her senses, right? Because using her senses, I could do that as. And then...
The senses as long as she's within a mile of you, then you can see through her eyes and use her senses. And then you can keep, as long as you keep concentration, can keep her invisible that way.
Okay, I could.
That's
do that.
fucking rad.
Yeah, so familiars are pretty. You can use it for all kinds of cool stuff. That was actually part of the reason that I was considering the other build I was talking about, Justin, instead of wickets. Was for other support options and so on. I got fucking very first game, guys. We played Wednesday night. We played Wednesday night, and I got knocked unconscious like 2 minutes into the fight.
It was the first thing that happened. I don't even think anyone else got attacked yet.
No, I got hit once, and then
You got hit
Victor's
twice.
character got I got hit once, and then Victor's character got hit, and then I got hit a second time and went unconscious.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it was pretty quick. It was impressive.
Yep. I did one shot a guy though, so that's always good.
Yeah, it was neat.
Yep.
Yeah, it was fun.
Anyways, so he kind of nods at me. He says, "I won't ask that of you. I mean, you don't you don't officially report to me, so I can't exactly command it. But if it's something you can help with, it would certainly be useful.
Sure.
At least if if your friend gets shot down, you can bring her back. If my soldiers get shot down, that's the end of it for them."
I just think that sounds fucking neat.
Well, actually, by now you step back in, so you are.
Here's your beer.
He takes it and
cheers
holds it. Yeah, exactly.
I'd like to give him a victory for our side and not getting eaten by crazy fucking things.
He gives you a very wide, like, this is the first time you've seen like a genuine smile, other than when you guys first showed up with the Olderrock, because that was, something that was clearly important.
I'd have brought everyone else beers, but I am tiny. I'm very small.
Is Kronos down? Hang on one sec, guys.
Ugh. I don't like being sick. You guys ever have a day where you're just like, fuck it, I should try heroin? Anyone? Anyone at all?
I gotta say no.
Dude, I had a 97-year-old client today, and I was so fucking frustrated. He wasn't even like he wasn't even like, oh, hey, thanks for coming here. He was like, who are you? I'm like, you're not gonna fucking remember me tomorrow anyways, guy.
Wait,
Jesus.
so, I mean, he called you out, like he had.
Yeah, but he was like, I was like, oh, I'm Justin with the Geek Squad, and he was like, oh, I didn't know that was you. You could have just been some delivery guy delivering meat. And I was like, who the fuck delivers
What?
meat? Yeah, that's literally what he said to me. could have been the meat delivery guy. Is that a weird male escort service that I'm unaware of? Because I
No,
don't.
it's an actual
delivery?
service to where older people are able to order the groceries online, so they could order it
Yeah.
from the butcher shop to
well,
where
hang
people
on.
go into.
I'm gonna tell you
Older
right
people, I'm not
now.
that old, but I order my groceries online. I do not go to the
But
store.
I'm not saying
would
it's
still.
just for old people. I
I'm
just
still not gonna call them the meat guy. How about the food delivery service or the groceries? Yeah, you're the meat guy, right? Yeah, I got these 17 pounds of bratwurst you ordered. You fucking weird old man.
Could be like an Omaha Steaks kind of a thing. Like
Well,
maybe
that-
it would
that
be
makes
the
sense.
meat person if you ordered it right from the butcher, because the butcher shop will have maybe cheese and meat, so they
Do
don't
we-
have much else.
Do we like even have butcher shops? Like, is that even really a thing in the United States?
there are for specific kinds of meats. Yes, like
Alright.
if you wanted like the aged meats and things like that.
I feel
and then
like
if you want
butcher
better stuff.
shops are like back in the day of like, like
Well,
they're
these
next
days-
to the horseshoes.
Yeah, exactly. These days, well, okay, but these days, if you want a butcher, you generally go to like a Costco or something.
Yeah.
You know,
Wait,
it's
what?
like-
Really?
Yeah, we don't have like butchers. We go to a grocery store and there's
Well,
a
there-
butcher in the grocery store.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
for the
no,
most
like the butcher stuff is a lot better. Like from an actual butchery is a lot better
Yeah.
than the grocery store stuff.
That's
I'll
what
take
I'm
your
saying.
word
for it,
but
but
for around
I don't
here, the only way you find an actual butcher is if it's like artisan, like
Yeah.
if you want aged meats or if you want rare meats, like if you wanted venison or something like that, and you're not a hunter, that's how you get it.
Oh wow, okay, we have like a lot of
Just in
different
place.
stuff. Okay,
but
so
you also
Canada's
have-
definitely different for that.
So I went
Yeah,
to this
but you
one
also
place.
have like random moose roadkill and
Yeah.
shit that you got to take care of. That's where
So
you
I went
gotta
to
deal
this one place and it was the best butcher shop. It was 1896. That's where it was.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So what, you traveled back in time to go to a butchery shop?
Yeah,
Outlander?
100%.
with
The
it.
closest thing we have to butcher shops, they're called carnicerias, and you have to speak Spanish to go there.
You're not allowed
Alright
to speak
then.
Spanish.
Yeah. California's
Yeah,
fucking
Canada.
weird.
Give me one sec, guys. I gotta call work.
All right. So back to heroin. No, I've had a cold for like a day and a half, 2 days, and
Cold
work
effects
day.
and echinacea.
I can't have any other stuff. It messes with my other meds. I can't even have like NyQuil and Dayquil and shit.
Oh,
That sucks.
well,
All I
the,
can have is Tylenol. So I took a Tylenol PM like 30 minutes ago, and I'm pretty excited about what's gonna happen in another 30. I'm gonna get fucking weird.
Hey, is Chronos down? Seems like it. Oh shit! Did you get sent?
So Ben, I know you run a gym. What does your wife do for a living? She can answer, by the way. You don't have to answer for her.
Oh, thanks for the question.
Yeah.
I work for a company that has. I work with people with developmental disabilities.
Oh, traumatic brain injuries or just
No. Autism.
mentally handicapped? Yeah.
Schizophrenic.
Interesting. My girlfriend's literally just got her master's degree in behavior modification, or what's it called? Not behavior modification. Behavior studies.
Behavior science.
Behavior sciences, something like that.
Okay.
And she, we were talking about maybe her going into like OBM, was it observational behavior management or something like that. Basically, you go work for a company, you find out their culture and what they want to be able to do, and then you come up with a behavior management plan to modify, you know, X because of Y. It's fucking cool, but she makes no fucking money. Bothers me to my core. That's all right.
You were
Are you back already?
spent a good. Yeah.
Is that the phone call that you had to do for work?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Wasn't that big of a deal? I just gotta send an email real quick and then I'll be done. Oh, sorry, Fox.
Do you guys get butcher shops up where you guys are? Ben and I forgot your real name. What's your real name?
Becky.
Becky.
Or-
Thank
Or
you.
Rebecca. It's fine.
She's always done that.
How about Becker's? Is Becker's an option?
I've never ever once. In fact, obviously I've only known you as Becky, of course, but the only reason that I know that Rebecca is your actual name, apart from it being, of course, short for that, is your Hulu account says Rebecca.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a girlfriend question me on that once. Who the fuck is Rebecca? I was a little bit pissed actually because she was a fucking nut job.
I was gonna say like like that's a weird thing. Be like, who the fuck is Rebecca? Oh, you mean my brother's? Like, what? Why do you give a shit?
Yeah, I was pretty pissed. It was the one that was in my house. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It was the one that was in my house a little too long, Justin. That one.
Yeah. She had too many kids. That was
I mean, two. So too many, sure. But
too many kids.
yeah. I mean, the kids were actually way better than she was. The kids were actually pretty cool. She was unbearable.
Do you remember that friend of Leah's, Lindsay, that you hung out with once, and you're like, she smells amazing. That girl.
Yeah, I think I do.
She's now pregnant with her second kid from a different guy, and I'm so just disappointed in her. Like, I'm just so not a fan of that whole
She
thing.
seemed like a decent girl, but I mean, that was only what 6 years ago.
If that,
There's
5 years.
two in that span. That's not that many, I suppose. I mean, that's generally when you would have them, but it is two different dudes.
Well, I mean, two different dudes. No, like she's still like kind of. I don't know. She has nothing else in her life together, and it bothers me.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. All right,
We getting back?
Yep, I just finished that.
Cool.
Turn that laptop off. All right, so what are you guys doing? Pepperjack is drinking and just cheered with Pogo.
Ozzy.
Okay. Yeah, he had told
I'm
you
gonna
that
wish him
Ozzy's
luck
probably.
and tell him to let us know if we could help with anything and basically just wish him luck and tell him if I'll give him some intel once I scout and I'll be making some tents and stuff.
Okay.
At least I won't be bored to death.
Yeah, there's still. I mean, there's definitely kind of make work type stuff around the camp, like helping with the making tents, the scouting thing he suggested, for example, helping show up the walls. Most of the soldiers that are up and moving are just doing drills, as you've seen. So they're just kind of you know what a combat drill looks like. So just kind of basic drills, nothing exciting.
Yeah, I'll pass on the combat drill.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like that, he didn't have a whole lot specifically for you to do, but there's a ton of like general kind of make work type stuff to do. So.
I think Pogo would like to ask him if he'd like to let him know, like, hey, just so you know, I can be persuasive if I need to be, and I can also be fairly sneaky. So if you need someone for more that side of this battle, let me know. I'm not much of a strategist, but people with my abilities might come in handy for you.
He kind of sets his jaw to the side a little bit. He says, "I'll keep that in mind." I mean, that's surprisingly, you may not think that's all that useful of a talent to have when you're besieged like this, but very often we end up with folk that may not see reason or may not agree with our orders, for example. So I'll let you know. That could end up being useful.
All right. Or if you just need me to give a rallying speech, I can try that too.
Okay, I'm really gonna run to find Ozzy.
Okay.
Yeah.
You saw that, right, Fox?
Yeah, I just saw it, so I'm gonna run to find Ozzy to try and get him to help me to.
Okay.
If she's running, I'm running after her. Finding out.
Okay. So yeah, you probably see Arteme like bolt off all of a sudden. Like it's for a reason. It's clear that something happened. You didn't see what happened or anything of that sort, but she bolted off with clear purpose, I guess is how I'd say that. So Sarah, you're chasing after?
Yep.
It is muddy. Are you brooming?
Nope. Yep.
Okay. By now, Norok, you see Rook come back in, and she's still got she's generally a pretty jovial person, as you've seen her before, and she has a little bit of a smile. It seems like she comes back behind the bar. She says, "Well, good news and bad news. She'll probably wake up in the next half an hour or so. So you should be okay in keeping an eye on her. The bad news is." I can't vouch for you beyond that. If anybody sees her, it's probably going to be bad news. I mean, I can try to cover. Obviously, if it gets as long as it is up to Pepperjack, then I can probably keep him from doing anything about it. I think Pepperjack is generally amenable to that kind of thing. But if you need information out of her, you probably want to make it as quick as you can.
Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate your help.
She kind of just pats you on the arm and goes back behind to that crate that she had been pulling things out of earlier.
Alright. Then I will head back over because I just saw them dash off and not really sure where they were going. So
you didn't see that at all. You were inside the mess hall. But as soon as you do step out of the mess hall, as soon as you step out of the mess hall, you see Arteme running as fast as she can through the mud in front of the mess hall, like basically out of the command tent in front of the mess hall, and is running the opposite direction with Sarah on the broom behind her, kind of catching up to her. What was Pogo doing?
He would have seen them run off.
Yeah.
Yeah, he probably would have just walked same direction, but just kind of probably would have looked and said something like, you know, was it something that I said, and then just kind of followed them.
It was it was clear that Arteme bolted off like very rapidly. So I mean,
so I'll probably go down and meet up with Norak. And...
Okay. Well, you do, you know, walking along behind you walk basically right in front as Norak is coming out of the mess hall, seeing the two women rushing off as fast as they can. Those two of you kind of just standing there.
I'm just gonna look at Norak and go, no fucking clue, not a clue.
All right, I was gonna say I wasn't sure if you knew either. I guess
no.
I'm laughing.
Did you kill your girlfriend yet, or are we still doing that? What's happening?
No, I still gotta talk to her first, then I'll kill her.
Alright, I'll come with you. Why not? She just smells like shit. This whole this last whole couple days have smelled pretty much like shit, so it's fine.
There's a little lunchtime murder, it's fine.
I'm going to look for a second and see like where the girls run off to, where the ladies run off to, before we head back to my little thing.
Right.
So.
Well, you have to go that direction anyway. So as you're kind of coming around, the mess hall's like most of the middle of the area basically. And as soon as you turn around the corner of the existing stone wall that they just kind of shored up with mud, you see Arteme going down into the same entrance that you guys found before. The one where they went into that one room and then there were stairs going in 3 directions, remember? So she is going into that little what's the word for that? An above ground grave made of concrete usually. Mausoleum. There you go, mausoleum. She's going into that with Sarah right behind her on the broom.
Okay. All right.
Are you heading back to your little camp?
Yeah, I just wanted to see if I could see where they were going first.
Okay. You heading over towards your camp then, Sarah and Arteme. Sarah, obviously you got to kind of hop off the broom, but it's not muddy. The ground is muddy from boot prints, but it's not sinking into the mud at least. As you're heading down the stairs towards the Undercroft, it's an area of that subterranean that you guys hadn't gone in before, but you know that's what they were referring to. And even heading down the stairs, you can see that the area isn't lit by torches. You're going down these very steep sloped stairs. Remember these stone cut stairs down in towards this room, and there's just light flickering off the walls of all different colors, with kind of the overtone being blue, which is Reconditus, and that's what Reconditus is. The arcane rill. It's like the kind of general rill for most powerful magics, whereas Sorconal is shadow and so on. They're both of your guys' power don't come from Reconditus specifically. You just have some spells that might use it. But anyway, stepping down the stairs towards this, there's chanting coming from the room, and as soon as you enter, you do see there's a circle. There's only 6 of them, but there's 6 mages, one of them being Ozzy, that are kind of facing each other in this kind of, it's not a circle, it's like a rectangular shape basically, kind of nodding their heads and drawing arcane sigils in the air. That they just draw it and it disappears, and they draw it and they're just doing it over and over and over again.
Classic.
What are you doing?
I'm gonna go try and find Ozzy and.
He's there. You see him. There's 6 mages there total. You don't recognize the other.
Okay, I'm gonna wave him over to see if we could have a bit of a private chat.
He looks like you can tell that he sees that you're there, and he is just continues what he's doing. He's just continuing his gestures.
Okay.
The older rock is sitting in the middle of the group of them, and you're seeing. Make Arcana checks, both of you. Sarah, you can see the small connective threads that are otherwise invisible, but there's these connective threads of kind of like watching. You know how those little I think they were called plasma balls. Do you remember these, Justin? Like back in the 80s, it was a ball that was like a Tesla coil. You know what I'm talking about?
No, actually.
So they were glass balls. They were a toy.
Oh yeah. And you'd put it on like
Yeah,
your
if you
hand
touch
on
the
it,
outside, yeah,
and it
the
would
little,
all go. Yeah, okay.
yeah, the little bolt of electricity would come from the center and touch the glass ball, touch your hand. You guys know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it looks kind of like that, but it would be otherwise invisible. But it's traveling from the older rock to each of them, like connect, and it's kind of like each line looks like electricity, like it's kind of traveling back and forth, and connecting to each of them. But he does, like, he acknowledges Arteme that you're there, but he doesn't respond. He keeps doing this ritual.
Okay, so I'm gonna go up to him and like whisper my EVs and grape in his ear and see what he does.
Make an insight check, and Sarah, you do recognize that interrupting this ritual could be troublesome. It could slow them down significantly if one of them has to stop. Arteme, it's clear that he recognized that he can understand you, and he kind of looks at you, and he like not directly, but he kind of there's just the subtlest shaking of his head. You get the impression that he knows, and he's not doing anything about it.
Okay, I'm gonna ask him if there's anything I could do to help.
You see the same gesture again.
I'm gonna float up to Ozzy's ear and tell him that I have a way to get a hold of Corinxantilus if he thinks it'll help move things along. If I can get him to come. That's not guaranteed. But I can try.
Go ahead. You haven't made one yet. Go ahead and make an insight check to see if you recognize the gestures that he's showing are extremely subtle. Arteme rolled high enough on her insight check. He can't speak, basically. So there is no visible response, but you might intuit that would definitely be helpful based on piecing some things together, piecing some things that Pepperjack told you together, along with that there's 6 of them, and that you knowing that the more that are here, the better. That you know it would be helpful, but you do not see a response from Ozzy about it.
I'll ask Ozzy if there's someone that can replace him temporarily, if he could help maybe, or if I could replace him.
You see that subtle head shake again. You do know that Maevi is a powerful mage as well, but he knows. It's clear that he knows. Like, when you told him, that was not a surprise to him, and it seemed like it would have been, because you know that they are friends.
Yeah.
While they're having this conversation, I'm kind of backing away, and I'm going to use that parchment he gave me.
Okay.
And
well, when you pull it out, there's already writing on it. You hadn't checked it yet today.
Ah, shit. Okay.
What's written on there is it's kind of introductory stuff, and then Corinxantilus is asked, which of these symbols do you recognize? And there are 5, and they're each drawn in a circle with a different arcanic rune inside of it. So you'll need to kind of spend time to read this, but I mean, you can. Once you've read it, it doesn't disappear. That's how it works. Every time you read the page, a few minutes later, the writing that's on it disappears from both. So you can write back to him, but it does mean kind of basically not spending the time to actually understand what he's asking you.
Do I have any regular paper on me?
Yeah, you would. You'd probably have some just in in that scroll or the other scroll case, for example.
Okay, can I just like scribble it down real quick?
Oh, try to copy what's on there?
Yeah.
To do it fast enough, let's see. Make an Arcana check, and it's going to be with disadvantage because you don't recognize all of the symbols. Is how I'll tell you that. You're doing this, by the way. You don't know why Artem's little flip out session yet. So unless you've asked her, you actually rolled really well. So we're a 19 and an 18, or a 19 and a 13. So you do manage to copy over. You're pretty confident that you've copied it over clearly. You'll need to study it later to see if you actually get everything. But you're pretty confident that your results were good as it's starting to fade away.
Okay. Then I'm going to write out. I really hate to ask for your help because I know you're already doing everything you can to help me, but I am stuck in Dunskathak. We are surrounded. We can get out of here, but not fast enough. We could really use your help, and I'm here with Ozzy. And
Okay.
just see what he says.
Okay. You take the time to write all this out. Has at any point in here is Arteme? I guess what are you doing, Fox?
just trying to figure out a way to help my AB because Ozzy's saying like there's nothing I can really do, but there should be some.
Okay. Fox, do you recognize how you got that message?
I'm gonna say some kind of telepathy, but I'm not really sure.
Okay, so it was the message spell specifically, or sorry, the sending spell rather. It's the same kind of communication as the stones were allowing Sarah with Pepperjack previously, but this was just her casting the spell, which means that it's a very limited resource, and it means that she probably can't do it regularly because the message that she gave you says that let's say, think of it like a kidnapped person sneaking a cell phone. They can't get to it very easily, or somebody who was in jail or whatever, right? That kind of a thing. So that's how that message came in. You would be able to intuit that because you understand how that spell works. I just wanted to make sure that Fox knew that as well. So, anyways, yeah, but Ozzy himself does not seem to be willing, or maybe just not able to help.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Abel because I'm pretty sure he would be willing.
You would all, because of the situation and what the message said, it was clear that she tried to reach out to Ozzy first. He already knew. She reached out to you afterwards because Ozzy didn't respond, or she couldn't, basically because of whatever reason, she didn't feel confident that was going to work, so she reached out to you afterwards. But again, nobody else knows that. Nobody knows what was told to Artemis. Sarah is just trying to operate under the assumption that you guys need other mages here and so on, right? So, anyways, you filled that out.
Would she have heard when I whispered, because she would have been close enough to me when I whispered to Ozzy that my EB needs...
Yeah, just not necessarily what the situation is, just that my EB needs...
Yeah.
So, but that's up to you if you decided to share it.
Oh,
but,
yeah, I would tell her since she's here helping, trying to help.
Okay.
And
then,
my EB needs quite a bit, so I'm sure Sarah would want to try and help her back, royal or not.
Okay. Then I just sent that to Sarah for what the message was. If you gave it to her, verbatim. Norok and Pogo out near the outer wall on the southern side of the ruins here. You make your way to that kind of previous encampment. Pogo, as soon as you even get close.
Oh, it smells so bad.
Yeah,
so
it's
bad.
Make a con save on Pogo.
I'm gonna throw up.
You may if you roll bad enough. Norok already passed it, and how it works is this stench. If you succeed at the save, natural 20.
Oh,
okay.
This doesn't smell too bad at all.
Oh, it's still bad. You're just immune to the stench for the next 24 hours.
Did you know that many clones are made out of whale oil? So,
Well, maybe if they melt the non-existent fat off of these cannibals, they can make some whale oil or some cologne as well.
So what's the plan with this stinky vampire lady? I mean, she needs to eat some food, right? Like, or some soup or something to get in her stomach.
Yeah, we gotta try to get some water and some food in her if we can. And then see if we can get her, to answer some yes or no questions.
How long is she supposed to be sleeping for? It's so bad. This smells so bad.
She's like, it looks like her eyes are like kind of flickering occasionally, and she's just like kind of. Remember that crazy guy that used to sit at that gas station, G? They would just like kind of lean back and forth constantly. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah, the guy that would just rock back and forth every time he stopped.
Yeah. Kind of like that, except it's her head that's lolling back and forth, like she's coming off of a bad trip.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, you make sure she doesn't eat anybody. I'm gonna go grab some soup or something, some softer food at the inn, and I'll be right back. So Pogo's gonna go try to get some food to at least.
Okay, like a broth or like a thin soup or something.
Yeah, maybe satiate this monster of a person.
Okay. As you turn and head back towards the mess hall, Norok, there are clanging sounds against the wall on the opposite side of the wall, and they're getting louder and they're getting more and more frequent, and they're spreading out along the wall. There's a response from the Crowbinders on the inside of the wall, and they start to kind of muster together. They're all kind of pulling together like they're getting prepared for something to something to happen. And as soon as they start to gather, get closer and closer, Pogo, from behind you, there is a loud series of explosions, just boom, 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 as you hear rocks shattering, like exploding. And there's just screams as the explosions kind of blow two big holes in the wall near the tent. Like it's probably a few hundred feet back from where Norok's tent is, and there's just kind of the roar of people as Albashar are pouring in like a flood through the holes, these 2 holes that were blown in the walls. There are other spots where the wall appeared to be damaged, but it didn't break through, and there's just a flood of Albashar pouring in through the walls as the Crowblinders are trying to mass in front of it.
Fuck. When you say a flood, how many? Like hundreds, thousands?
I mean, so think.
Is this the entire battle? Like, is this now starting, and this is where they're?
No, there's the holes in the walls aren't that big. They're only 20 feet across, and the Albashar are just in the front. But the soldiers are immediately just kind of surrounded. There was one. In fact, the first thing you probably see is at the front of the nearest closest to the wall was a Miotau, was a big Minotaur soldier. And they just immediately kind of swarm over him, and he's kind of frozen in place, like it looks like he's paralyzed. And they just kind of push him down and are just, like engulfing this guy. And he's kind of bleeding out these bovine, agony cries. But he's flinging just these bodies of these cannibals every which way with these big swings. But there's just too many of them, and they kind of just begin to push him down like a zombie movie and start tearing it apart.
Well,
as the soldiers are pushing in, trying to make a wall, trying to keep them from getting through.
Well, at this point, that one tied up, half-dead chick's not going to matter, so I'd just yell at Norok to get ready. And how far away is this swarm?
You guys are probably 150 feet back from it.
How far am I from where I saw Sarah and Arteme run down?
They are underground. That's further inside. That's quite a ways back.
Okay, so they wouldn't be within... Because I'd probably try to run after...
The boom was audible. Sarah and Arteme, you guys do hear explosions from above and shouts of soldiers.
Well, I'm going to pull my rapier and probably... Are we anywhere near where we came up for that secret entrance?
That's the same place that Sarah and Arteme went down into.
Okay, I'll probably yell to Norok, say ditch the girl, and I'd pull my sword and I'd see what happens.
Okay. You're rushing towards where the bad guys are then?
Nope. I'm rushing towards where Sarah and Arteme were.
Okay. Everybody give me initiative.
I will be right back.
Okay. We'll take a quick second till Becky's back.
Sure.
Fox.
Oh, was that Fox? I thought that was Becky. Said that.
Nope.
Hey, now I can't tell the difference between you guys. Take sword shot.
Boy. A Fantasy Grounds is starting to run slow.
I just shared the map. It's probably just downloading the map. What?
Oh, just the people are funny. They're funny looking because they kind of look like they're like just wearing normal clothes. Like there's
They kind of are.
There's like a big black lady in a pink dress with 2 hands up, just like I feel like it's like Oprah, but like fat 90s Oprah. I like it.
What did she do? Did she just she just disappeared? Not that I ever
she
followed
became a
Oprah, but
billionaire.
She's got her own channel now, I guess.
Yeah.
oh, okay. Is that
O
why?
Network?
Okay, that makes sense. Then I wouldn't have heard anything. Not that I'd ever hear much, but like you hear just from news and stuff of when people are on fucking Jimmy Fallon or.
I'm gonna take a
whatever.
quick break too. I'm gonna go use the restroom. I'll be right back.
Okay. Sarah, you actually are first anyway, but you hear an explosion from above, and you hear, the screams. So basically, it sounds like there's a fight, like there's a battle happening.
Have I finished writing?
You did. You scribbled down. Oh, your message to Corinzantilus?
Yeah.
Yeah. You finished it, but it's okay. there's no like beep. You didn't know even that he had written the message to you until you pulled it out. So it's not like there's a notification that he got. So you don't know how long it's going to take before he sees it.
Yeah. Right. So I'm just gonna look up at Artemis. Well, I guess when she gets back. But
I'm back.
I'm gonna run out
Okay,
then, I guess.
Running upstairs.
Yeah.
Okay.
We hear screaming and there was an explosion, so.
All right, then you rush up. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to move, just for simplicity's sake, I'll move Norok and Pogo in a little bit. And then I'll drop Sarah on here just further back because you guys were not quite as far. Artemis, did you go with?
I guess I'd tell as they will continue this later and like,
Okay, so you go up with Sarah?
yeah.
All right. Then,
By the way, I really like the double click distance feature.
yeah, I thought that was super handy when I didn't know
super
that
handy.
worked. Yeah. I didn't know about it before, so as soon as I saw it, it sounded super useful, so I figured I'd tell you guys about it. So there's two holes that got blown into the walls, and most of the soldiers were in front of the other, not this one. You guys, there are soldiers that are around, kind of in the periphery, but they're mostly condensed around the other one, which is off to the west of you, that also has some of the Al-Bashar pouring through. So Sarah, you make your way up. You and Artemis rush up to about where you are there. You doing anything else for your turn, or just running to catch up?
I believe I'm too far away.
We'll say that was the extent of your movement to get there.
Well, you know what? I got all my spell slots, so screw it. We're gonna use Chaos Bolt, which is exactly 120 feet.
Okay.
And I think that's all I have. So.
Norok is kind of blocking you, though. Oh, those walls are tall back. Those are taller than you. So like you can see just through Norok, but you may end up hitting him.
Could I have jumped on the broom as soon as I got outside?
Yeah, you could have. So you could get some height to get a clear shot.
Okay. Now, I have a quick question.
Yep.
About how did it go? I believe it's twin spell. Yeah, so the twin spell. So it says when you cast a spell that targets only one creature and doesn't have a range of self. Now, Chaos Bolt technically only targets one unless I roll the same number twice.
I think you
Then
still
it'll
can.
target.
Yeah, I think you can.
Okay, then I'm gonna use. I think it's 2 of these. Him 1 point per cantrip. So first level spell. So I'm gonna use 2 sorcery points, and I'm going to also hit this group. So do I need to roll another cast for that?
I think so. Let me look at twin spell real quick. I was just googling it to make sure that you can, and you can. Like it does work for Chaos Bolt. To target a creature, yeah, you still roll the attack on the second target as well.
Alright, so let me take it off this one again. Hits.
Yep, that hits.
Okay.
All right, and they are not the same. So the you send in a what damage type was that?
So psychic or poison. These are Al-Bashar, right?
Yep.
Do I know, having been around the Al-Bashar a little bit, do they seem like they have sound minds at all?
I will tell you that neither of those are particularly effective.
Wonderful.
They're already
Yes.
kind of poisoned, essentially, so they're essentially resistant to both.
Alright, well I guess we'll just go with psychic then.
Okay, so 7 damage to. You had both targeted for the damage. Go ahead and roll the attack. Oh wait, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, you rolled the first time. Yeah, they both hit. That's fine. Okay, cool. So what you see then is they're just a massive flood of people basically pouring in over the wall there, right? Or over the rubble of the wall that they're broken out. The chaos bolt smashes into the middle and kind of erupts around them, and you see 3.5 people just exploded, just fall into bits in both crowds. Basically, each of these swarms, each person only has 2 hit points, and the crowds get less effective the more weak they get. Does that make sense? Everyone understand how that works?
Yeah.
Somewhat.
I don't think Fox was there for like the rat swarms and stuff like that. Generally, when you have swarm types of creatures, they can occupy the same space as other creatures, but also as you are killing the swarm, you're basically killing off a bunch of the individuals of that swarm. Like if it was rats or bugs or something like that. In this case, it's these people. You're just carelessly murdering, as Sarah's wont to do. And Sarah and Navarra both just killing innocents all the time. But as the swarm dies off, as more and more of the swarm dies off, they get less and less effective. But keep in mind, there's bunches coming from behind too. So is that it for Sarah's turn?
Yeah, and at least Sarah has an excuse this time. These guys are trying to eat her.
that's pretty fair. Generally, if you're gonna murder someone, them trying to eat you is a good excuse. So, all right, this. Go ahead.
I'm gonna use spike growth.
Your turn is in 3 more. That was just Sarah's turn with the initiative order.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't like it was just her turn in regular initiative is all. She just rolled high enough. But this swarm here. Make it to there. Just flooding in as fast as they possibly can. Just a mad dash of them having potential access to food as they go just pouring over the wall here. You see each of they practically all are just leaning down and picking up just whatever rocks and rubble and bits of the broken wall as they can, trying to rush towards you guys. It is Pogo's turn.
Oh, great.
Got a swarm of cannibals bearing down on you, and I will tell you this: if they can reach you, you are absolutely fucked.
Yeah, I figured that. Ooh, well, at least they're exactly that far away. So I'm going to cast. I'm actually just going to cast. Ah, it's too far out of the range. I'm gonna move right behind Norak. I'm actually gonna hide behind him.
Okay.
My little special ability.
Well, so hiding is an action unless you're a rogue, and then it's a bonus action.
I think
Lightfoot. You can use them as cover.
Let me. Oh, okay. I thought Lightfoot had the option to hide behind people bigger than.
Well, okay. So hiding is a specific action.
Oh, that's right.
So if you just mean you're just using him as cover, you don't need to do anything special.
I'm gonna use him. I'm gonna use him as cover, and I'm going to cast Vicious Mockery on that group.
Okay. And they succeeded actually. They got a roll of 19 versus your 16.
All right.
Does it do anything on a miss or on a success?
No, nothing on a miss.
Okay. Any bonus actions?
Yep, I'm gonna cast Spiritual Banjo.
All right. We get you your banjo token.
Oops, that's not what I meant.
Speaking of tokens, is there any way we can get have our spell tokens in there so we could just put them on ourselves?
How do you mean? Do you mean like the spell tokens for like spike growth and stuff like that?
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have access to them. Let's check actually. That does hit, Justin. So go ahead and move your banjo wherever it is.
Okay.
Just so you don't have to keep putting them on for us.
That's certainly the appropriate time for dueling banjos. Go ahead and Fox, if you hit the library and then go to tokens. I think it's in the library. I'm not sure if non-DMs can see it. Let's see.
Okay, I see token.
You do? Okay, click on that, and then does it have a bunch of little leather bags?
It has a few of that.
Look for host custom.
I see it.
Double click on that.
Now there's current session, miscellaneous, and PC.
Go into miscellaneous or PCs. Let's see. Yeah, miscellaneous has The spiritual banjo is in there. Your healing spirit is there. Can you see those?
I can only see a chest and the banjo.
Okay. The chest was the one we were using for the Alderac. Check the PCs folder.
That one has our character ones and.
Do you have Sai in there? Do you have Sai in there?
Not
Oh, Sai? Okay. I'll have to look at where... I can't share them. I think there's a way that I can set them up so that you can see them as far as your spell effects box for like spiritual or spike growth and stuff. So I'll figure it out for you.
Okay, thank you.
But since you can see the banjo means that there's definitely a setting for that, so I'll just put it on my to-do for...
Yeah, because we could see it since we put it on already, so that's... Like, I could see the ones that are on, like, that we use today.
Yeah.
And...
Yeah, anything that I throw on the board, you guys can obviously use. But I think if I put them in and there's a folder that I think you guys can see. So if I put spell effects in there, then you guys would be able to grab them yourselves. Okay, Norok's turn.
Pogo would also like to remind Norok that if he gets bit, might turn into one of those paralyzed guys. But he's been bit by them before, right? Yeah, he has. You understand. Yeah. I moved Pogo a little bit, but he's still taking cover.
Okay.
Alright.
Which one, G?
I am going to step a tad closer here.
This crowd that's in front of you is like half of them have been wiped out. There's about 10 of them left. Each of these crowds is about 20 people.
Okay. And I am going to surprise, rage.
Okay.
And then I am going to... Yeah. Oh, hang on. There we go. Oh. How do I change it to... There we go, never mind. Okay.
What are you trying to do?
We're gonna change it to throw. I'm gonna throw Vulcan at him. But I was just trying to... I was hitting the wrong button.
That hits.
Oh, good.
Yeah, well, so keep in mind, like, they're really, like, sickly and weak. And not very, they're fast because they're running, like, for a meal, but they're not dexterous, like, trying to jump out of the way.
Oh, isn't there a little effect thing for the lightning on here that you put on here for me?
Yep, it's under your items, where Vulcan is.
Okay, there it is.
And which one is it if you're throwing it?
The 1d4 lightning.
Okay. On top of the regular damage? Is that what that is?
Yeah, I think that's what it is, yeah.
Okay. There you go.
There we go.
Do you recognize what that was there for?
No.
I'll tell you in a minute.
I'm trying to think. I might be able to get it in a minute. I'm just...
Well, that was part of Immigrant Song.
Yeah.
Justin, did you get why that's there?
No.
No? Alright. Too inside of an inside joke, I guess. Even though it was a fucking Avengers movie.
Thor? Yeah, like from Ragnarok?
Specifically from...
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Because,
I knew that. I just didn't know. I thought there was more something specific.
No, that's Vulcan is very like the way it was reforged is very much like the axe, Thor's axe.
Got it.
And he throws it doing lightning damage. Oh, that was yours. Oh, okay. So you threw it and then threw it again. Is like it came back to you, threw it again. Is that what you were doing?
Yeah.
Okay. Where's the R from the reaction on there? I'll have to check that out. I do. Anyways,
Yeah, weird.
so you throw. Yeah, it was showing like it's a reaction, but it isn't. So, but you throw it through the group, and as it's spinning back and forth, it's just zapping away at the few that are there. It wiped out 3 more of them. Have just like are frozen in place and then collapse forward when the jittering stops. So you throw it the second time, but the second time it does not go through them.
Okay. Then I am going to...
Does it do damage when it comes back through them?
In this particular case, since he missed with it, basically if he calls it back to him, if he threw it to the other side and then called it back, then yes, when it passes through. But he was throwing it with an intent to try to hit them, so he throws it just over them and then calls it back, so they doesn't hit them this time with his second swing. So Artemis' turn.
Okay, I'm gonna use like growth to try and like cover up the wall part of it.
Okay. I'll tell you too that the wall, basically there being a hole in the wall, this won't stop until that wall is patched up or something keeps them from coming through, I guess is how I'd say that. What's the size on it? Is it 20-foot radius? Okay.
Yeah, 20-foot radius.
All right, almost. There we go. All right. Go ahead and move it wherever you're going to cover.
Yeah, right about there, because they're gonna have to walk through the whole
Okay.
thing.
Yeah, that'll shred anything that's trying to run through it. So.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
How the fuck are we supposed to build a wall?
It's not my problem. You guys got to figure it out.
Astro,
Just have Norok start chucking boulders at it.
there you go.
All right. Spike growth goes up. Then does it? I think it damages when you first drop it too, doesn't it, Fox? Or do they have to move in it?
I think we did say that if I drop it on them, it did, because it doesn't specifically.
I think that's right. Go ahead and apply it then on 6. Not the save though. Remember, the save is only if they are trying to perceive that it's there. So just the whatever it is, 2d4, yeah. 3 damage to that group. So one of them stepping through it as the ground to solidify and turn into glass, steps through it and falls forward, and then just impales himself onto the glass, and is dead. 1.5 technically, but
Yay!
yay. All right. Any bonus actions?
No.
You did have a long rest too, Fox. I didn't ask if you were going to change your spells out, so
Right.
yeah. So if there was something you wanted to change out for today after that long rest, then you could have. So just keep that.
You happen to have a spell called Build Wall.
No.
That was Ben's joke of like 2 minutes ago.
Oh, sorry,
He said,
Ben.
he
took
said
a
it
time
really
off
quietly.
the end, so I'm getting a little weird.
He kind of mumbled it anyways. He said we should just call Crump is what he said.
Oh, yeah, that'd be good.
All right. This group having no, they're relatively mindless. They're trying to rush through it anyways. It's hazardous terrain, so they can only make it to the edge there. Roll it on them 3 times, Fox, on Swarm 6. A soldier, one of the nearby Crowblinder soldiers, is rushing through the wall off to the side here. Is 30 feet, yeah.
Okay, yeah, that is.
Rushes towards the group here and starts swinging his scimitar into the group. Misses with his first swing, swings again, and hits. Oh shit! Damn.
All right.
There were only a couple left in the group anyways.
NPC.
Well, he rolled max damage. He just rolled 6 and a 6, so he just rolled as high as he possibly could. Just cleaves through the last couple of them, and kind of sets himself like he's going to rush forward to try to grab the next crowd of them. That is it for his turn. Where's there it is. There's just a pile of bodies there, of course. Your banjo's still floating in midair. This swarm here is going to rush through as best they can.
Yeah, that spike growth is fantastic. By the way.
She made a proper choke point, so these guys don't get to move very fast now. They actually have decent speed. They have 40-foot speed. Fox roll twice on group number 17.
Okay.
I need Norok, Arteme, Sarah all to make dex saves. Pogo, you make a dex save with advantage.
Can I see whatever?
Being on the room.
Yes, you still do, and in fact, if anything, yours might be at disadvantage. Yeah, I think yours is at disadvantage for Sarah. I keep hitting the wrong one. There we go.
Can I see what's coming?
Oh.
Whatever's causing this?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. So go ahead, G. You have your danger sense.
Danger sense. Sounds like it should be a shaft kind of cop from the 70s. It's dangerous.
Like a Dolomite. His name is Danger Sense.
Dangerous.
Or it sounds like a B-rate transformer.
There you go.
Could be that. All right. Norok, Pogo, and Arteme all hear just like a kind of a sound of something flying straight over your head really quickly, and just that's it. You basically just hear that whipping sound. Sarah, you up on the room, high, how high up? Probably 20 feet, like your normal.
Yeah.
An arrow fired by some Babian archer somewhere back in their ranks sinks square into your leg, holding you're still on the side of the broom, but basically trying to grapple onto this as the arrow sinks into your leg for 11 damage.
Oof.
Similarly, the soldiers nearby, they only get one shot, but they will try to take a shot at the incoming Albashar. Natural 20. The NPCs are going to do all the work for you guys.
Yeah. I'm gonna go give them some blessings since I don't want to get that close actually.
Well, they actually rolled minimum, so they rolled a 1 and a 2. But still took out a bunch more of the group of the front group of Albashar. That said, though, as soon as as this swarm is continuing, of course, another group has piled in through the hole in the wall and are rushing towards you guys. Sarah's turn.
Right. How far are these guys? Yeah, way too far. Well, you know what? I already been hit once. So, I'm going to keep them up. I'm going to get... oh, well, maybe not that close. There we go.
Would she have seen how many of these things were like outside the hole?
There's no limit. It's all of the
okay.
It's
All
a flood.
things.
Every group that you're seeing here represent 20 Albashar, but there's a few thousand on the other side of the wall.
Okay.
Alright, I'm going to use twin
They're not in these little handy groups. We're just using that for fantasy grounds because it's easier that way
Yeah.
than doing 2,000 or whatever little bad guys.
Individual? You don't want to
Yeah.
roll for 2,000 individual?
Exactly. Yeah, these things are technically what are called minions, Justin. So this is something that's useful in D&D is to use what are called minions, which basically they usually have like 1 hit point or 2 hit points, so they take almost nothing to kill, but they still have full stats. The
Sure.
idea being that they're easy to take down, so you can kind of flood your party with them, but they're still a threat because of numbers.
So I'm going to cast Firebolt.
And did you cast it twice?
Yeah, I used the
They both
twin
hit
spell
anyways.
again.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, they both hit.
Why did
Well, that was because it's 2d10. It is 2d10 now. It's your normal cast. So that's the damage of one of them. One firebolt kind of blasts in the middle, and it hits the first, just like the one you were aiming for, the individual cannibal that you were aiming for, hits her in the chest, and she just kind of immolates, just catches on fire. But as she's falling forward, she's kind of pawing and clawing at the other Albashar that are nearby her, catching them on fire as well, until it kind of spreads through this group, burning down nearly half of them. Because they're immolated and kind of stumbling forward and dying.
I'm gonna drop down 10 feet.
Well, hang on, you didn't roll the damage on this. So,
It should have gone to both.
well,
Yeah.
oh, I see what you did. Okay, yeah, you did. Yeah, never mind. So actually, Swarm 6 is there's only 4 guys left. 2 guys left, sorry.
No, you know what? I am gonna stay at my 20 feet. And
Okay.
just stay there.
Okay. Pogo's turn.
Alright. For his bonus action first, he's going to he's gonna go ahead and attack with his banjo.
And it hits. You didn't have him targeted, but 22 hits, so. Alright, maybe I need to take those out and like put the ones that are, not as immersion breaking, right?
They do put a smile on the face.
I was just kidding anyways. Like it's worth the immersion breaking if it's all in fun, so
Yeah.
it's worth a laugh. Alright, which one was that? Did you hit? That was you just
first
rolled the
one.
damage, but did you
Swarm 6.
Okay, so there was only
did I
2
not-
of them left. You didn't have him
Yeah.
targeted. So,
I think I had the spell targeted, not
That's
the
fine.
group.
But there were only 2 of them left, and your banjo clangs off of one and pushes him into the other, who falls forward, and you hear kind of a cracking sound as its legs break. It is dead. So it wiped out the last two of that swarm.
So
But if you're
Pogo, can Pogo? Is there a hole next to Pogo on this wall? You can
Yeah.
squeeze through.
Yep.
He's gonna go.
The wall's probably 7 or 8 feet tall. So
Yeah,
but
he's
you
gonna
can
go over here and he's gonna yell to this crowblinder soldier and ask him if he's got any idea. Do you have any ideas on how to close this fucking hole?
He shouts back to you to call the mages.
Really? All right. And I'd like to tell everyone else. Apparently, we're supposed to call some mages. I don't know what that means. And then for my actual turn.
You know what? He probably actually would have said call the Wiccans, is what he would have said.
All right, call the Wiccans. Call the Wiccans, guys.
Yeah, Pogo wouldn't know what that means. Sarah and Arteme may. I don't remember if North was there. So
Weren't there others like the twins? Though?
there are other Wiccans with the group. Yes, they're not. All right, so Norok would probably have some familiarity with this. Basically, the Wiccans are a barbarian tribe. They're called Wiccans, but they're not all mages. Like specifically, the ones he was referring to are the twins that are left over. And the reason they're kids is because when the Empire wiped out their area, the Emperor Caius wiped out and just basically had murdered all of their mages because they're untrained. So the only ones that are left are the ones that are born with it, but are basically kids. So is your bonus action to club? Do you have any actions?
I'm thinking. Nope. Actually, no, that's a reaction, and that is also concentration. So I'll move my floating banjo 5 more feet, get it a little closer into the area, and that'll.
Okay, you can use your action to hide then if you wanted to.
Yeah, I'll use my action to hide.
Okay, go ahead and give me a stealth check. What is Norok doing?
Let's see.
You feel pretty confident that you kind of snuck yourself behind this wall in the shadow.
Alright, for now, I am just going to wait, because even if I move, I can tell that they'd be too far away for me to get a good throw of my axe at them, so I'm kind of just going to wait. So.
Okay. Just doing nothing then?
Don't you have to call your axe back?
I already have. Alright, actually, I'm probably the most useless here anyway. I can go run and I'll yell and ask if they want me to go run and grab the Wiccans. So, like the Grubline guy just said. Because I can go after them.
You would have heard the soldier yell that. He shouted it towards Pogo, but you're in the same direction.
Well, I was going to ask the team if they want me to go run and grab them, since everybody else is more useful long range than I am.
Sure.
I don't know, man. Throwing that fucking sword seemed pretty effective.
It's an axe, but
Yeah. So,
you gonna run off?
yeah, then I will dash as my action and head. So I'm guessing this way, right? And go see if I can find the Wiccans. So,
Yeah. When you turn and head that direction, you do see more soldiers coming in behind you that are in this way, trying to get.
Okay. Right. Then I'm going to just try to stay out of their way as I go through.
Okay. Okay. You rush towards them, back towards. As you'd be able to get for it. These guys seeing the glass. You know what? Actually, they have to make that perception check. Fox, what is it? Is it intelligence? What save do they have to make?
To see if they actually see it?
Yeah, to see if they see it. It's a Wisdom DC 14. They got a 5.
Wisdom perception.
Yeah, they got a 5. They did not see it, so they go rushing in through it. They can move through. Swarms can move through. So, but they go stomping through the glass and hurting themselves like idiots. They'll get 3 of them, Fox.
Okay.
So
Which
roll
number?
3. Swarm 7. Jeez. All right. It is your turn, Fox.
Oh, okay.
That swarm is about half dead. There's 8 of them left.
Okay. How far is my Up to, okay, 80 to whatever. Okay, yeah, I should have this. Move over here. I'm gonna call out to the crow blinder to move out of the way and fire at this group. Actually, do you know what? I'm gonna fire it at the other.
Okay. He wouldn't be able to move during your turn, anyways.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep it. What's the group that's in the thing? Because all I'm doing is I'm hitting the spike growth instead of it.
It is 17.
Okay, there we go. Got it.
Not with that. Not with a 9. I didn't put Psy on here. Are you using her, or are you just keeping her with you?
I would have left her with, to see if she could kind of just, like, poke at him with her tail a bit and her eyes, like, help!
Who?
With Ozzy, just to, like, try and
With Ozzy,
kind
okay.
of poke him to help, like,
So
just
you're
a
trying
cute little
to
fox. Yes, I'm trying to get
trying
him to
to-
do it with a cute little
trying
fox.
to annoy the guy though who is trying to save lives with a fox trying to poke at him. Okay.
Well, not really annoy, but just, like, get his attention to be like, hey, I haven't forgotten about my EB.
Gotcha. All right. Is that if your turn?
Yes.
The crow blinder, seeing this swarm heading for him, is going to GTFO. Actually, shit. He has to make the save too, because he can't see that the spikes are there. You might end up killing a good guy, Fox.
Crap. Wait,
rolled a
how would he have
natural one.
not seen?
Why is
rolled
he
a
running
natural one.
that way?
He would have no. He would have seen it when I first put it up.
He wasn't there when you first put it up.
Oh.
He rushed in from the side, and he still would have to make a perception anyways. But he got a natural 1 on his perception.
I'd say Michael
Ow.
What's that? What'd you say, Justin?
or linked. Why did he be running east?
Because he's trying to rush towards the, towards
I
it,
would
trying to
call
stop
out to him to be careful of the spike.
Well, he would be. I
He
mean,
just-
time-wise, he would have, been a little bit.
Oh.
Imagine running, full speed, and like your feet are going to hit the ground a few times before you can stop yourself. So go ahead and roll. Go ahead and roll 2 of them on him, Fox. Let me spin him around here.
Let me just roll back down.
Yeah, crowbinder soldier. And he's going to ready his action for that group when they get to him. And in fact, now it's their turn, so they are going to rush over him. Go ahead and roll it. Ooh, this is probably going to be bad. Roll the damage on Swarm 17 one time, Fox. Well, 1, he has to make the con save for their stench, which he also failed. He rolled a 3. He finished off that other group, and now he's kind of fucked. The swarm rushes into him, and of the group that's left, there are 11 of the swarm left. Just grab every bit of exposed flesh that they can. They pull his arm away, and he's shouting, trying to yank his arm back as they kind of grab onto it and begin to bite into him. God damn it!
And that's just why you don't go in for melee.
Well, he's a soldier. What is he gonna do? And
He's a
he
bow?
rolled a 9 for 9 plus 2, failing his DC against the paralysis, and they pour over him, just like throwing him to the ground, just like a zombie movie. And you see, let's see, it'd be 4d10.
Oh my.
He's still alive. He's just screaming.
All right,
He's
we've
got
got one
eruption
more
of
time.
steam.
We've got a little time for some bait. So he's bought us
Kind
some
of, yeah.
time.
I mean, they're literally eating him alive. So you've got
Yeah.
and another swarm comes pouring in. Pogo, no, he's hidden actually. Arteme, Norok, and Sarah make dex saves again.
I'm still at disadvantage, aren't I?
Yeah, because you're still up in the air. Yeah. Arteme fails. Sarah fails. Norok succeeds. You guys are, and your spike growth falls, Fox.
Ouch.
Bad time.
You guys standing out in the open, Vabian archers that are kind of using the
Oh.
to aim straight at you, as best they can through the crowd of the Babi and of the Albashar who are down on the ground eating this soldier. You take an arrow, just hits you square, like in the abdomen, and your concentration falls. Spike growth drops.
Okay.
And both of you took 16 damage to Sarah, and it was 10 damage, I think, to Fox, right? Yeah, 10 damage to Fox. They get a shot here. Natural 2. They did not help. The Crowblinder archers are best they, but most of the soldiers are off to the other side. There is a group coming in from behind you. Sarah, down below, you hear a group yelling, "Get out of the way!" As these soldiers are rushing in behind you, coming down this road, trying to get to this gateway that had been, shored up with rocks and mud. Go ahead.
Great.
As long as you guys are exposed, by the way, as long as you're not behind cover, you're shot at every turn.
So I'm gonna cast Chaos Bolt.
Okay.
Actually, take these guys
That hits. Which group was that? 17?
out. The one attacking the soldiers, yeah.
There's still like 6 of them left. They're about.
Right. And we're gonna do... I don't know if I can burn them alive. I guess we'll do thunder damage, so hopefully he doesn't
Okay.
get burned.
So he's still screaming, but he's also deaf now. So there's that.
Well, it's better deaf than burnt.
But you did, with the kind of concussive explosion, blast away a couple of the remaining Albashar. They got knocked off of him and then didn't move back. Any bonus actions?
15. I'm gonna drop down to the ground. I'm still sitting on the berm, but I'm like feet are touching
But low
the
enough to be
ground.
behind the wall? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And can I use my bonus action to just look at that paper real quick and see if there's any response?
Yes, it would be an item interaction anyways. You look at the paper, though, and it still has what you wrote on it. It hasn't changed yet.
Alright.
Okay, it is Pogo's turn.
Alright. As a bonus action, I'm gonna move my spiritual banjo close to the soldier
Okay.
and attack the swarm.
They're actually like on top of him, but yeah, you can be clubbing away at some
Well,
of the.
I'll try to just club a couple of them off of him.
You can hit them without risk of hitting him. That's no concern. They're a big enough group of them. You didn't have them targeted, but I don't think 11 will do it.
Nah, I don't think so.
Check their AC real quick. No, that will not hit. Any actions?
Yep. I'm actually going to use minor illusion
Okay.
to cast
You're
a
gonna make a little dancing turkey or some shit?
basically
like a
so
fucking Bugs Bunny cartoon?
yeah, so I'm gonna create an image so you can be up to 5 foot cube. So I'm gonna make a 5 foot tall fat pig, and I'm gonna do it 30 feet away right here.
I don't have a pig token ready. There's a bull.
That's
Go ahead and
okay.
put it wherever you're gonna put it.
All right,
All
I'm
right.
gonna put it right there.
Right.
I'd like
And,
to reiterate, I am not currently the bull. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you
So
already got
I'm
bitten
gonna go
half
ahead and I'm gonna quietly and try to stay hidden, and I'm gonna try to do that at least not up in the front of everybody.
Okay.
I've already done my bonus, and that's my action, and I think that'll do it for my turn.
All right. Nor's turn.
Okay. Same thing, just gonna use my action to dash again and try to get over and let the mages go as well. Try to get
Okay.
over, fix the wall.
Okay. You make it to the Undercroft. You probably would have, let's see, at 40 feet you can dash 80 feet. You can basically make it to the top of the stairs where soldiers are kind of flooding out of it. And there's there's just soldiers that are most of them still wounded and kind of moving relatively slow, but they're flooding out of the the subterranean up through the doorway. There's not enough room for you to go the opposite direction. Think of it like people trying to evacuate a building, and they're pushing through the door, and there's just not enough room for you to go in through the door while they're coming out.
All right, then as soon as I get a chance, I'll run in.
Okay. You definitely wouldn't have it this turn. We'll check next turn to see if you can like push your way through. You could definitely force your way through, but you might end up hurting these people, and they're already injured for the most part.
All right, I'm gonna give it just a second, see if they clear out.
Okay.
First, see if I can get sneak through.
Okay. Then we'll come back when it comes back around to your turn. We'll give you a shot for it because you dash to get there anyway. So, makes sense.
Yep.
All right. Swarm 7. Pogo, you stepped out. What is minor illusion? It is somatic and material. So you stepped out. Do you have to see the place that you casted it? Let me see.
I don't think so.
Within range that lasts for the duration.
Yeah.
Okay, so you could have just like gestured in that general area. You wouldn't necessarily know the square that it landed in. But when you stood up and made these gestures, these somatic gestures to create the illusion, the swarm here sees you. You were hidden before, but you stepped up and started moving.
Okay.
5, 10. That's as far as they can make it, and start they're basically just a handful of rocks and shit that they have. You're not close enough to be concerned about the stench. In fact, actually, you're still immune to the stench because you were nearby Sorsha earlier. But they are going to throw chunks of rocks and bricks and shit at you, which they got a natural 1. So they're just they're awkwardly launching shit towards you and do not make it, but they are close in front of you. It is Artemis' turn.
I'm gonna try and duck over here that side of it.
Okay.
How's that soldier doing over there?
Almost dead.
Yeah, he's been pretty badly chewed up. You can't
He's
really
also
see him.
paralyzed,
He's
I think.
Yeah, he's paralyzed on the ground and being eaten alive. I mean, you can't actually see him to get an assessment of how his health looks at the moment, but it's probably not good based on the screams. Actually, he stopped screaming.
I go to about here then,
Okay.
and take a bit of cover to see if I can help him. And
Okay. Are you trying to throw a healing word or something at him?
yeah, I'm gonna use healing word on him.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. I just had to make sure it wasn't a skill.
No, healing word is at range. It's cure wounds. It's touch. Okay. And of course you rolled a 1. But you did prolong his suffering by a little bit. But yeah, it's only on the D20 roll.
I was looking at my phone for a minute and I heard roll a 1, so.
There's still he's not. You're not hearing a reaction from him, but it did. You did heal him a little bit. Any bonus actions? Okay. It is the soldier's turn. He can try to break out of the. Where is it? Oh shit! He got a 17. You hear him screaming again after you've healed him, and he's you can see him kind of shifting and trying to throw the Albashar off of him. It'll take his action to try. He rolled well, so he rolled a 15. You see him flinging these kind of weakened and very frail-looking cannibals in either direction, and kind of scrambles over. He spins himself over, so he's on hands and knees and starting to scramble forward as best he can. He can't really movement-wise. Well, if he stood up, he'd have 15 feet. He kind of moves forward a little bit and then stands up. He can only make it to here. But that said, the Albashar it is their turn anyways. They're going to try to move through it. Your Banjo does not get an opportunity attack, I assume, right?
No.
It's not a separate creature, so okay.
Nope.
Well, they can make the 20 to close the distance to crash into the soldier again, and then some towards. You know what? I'm gonna do it this way. What is there to identify if it's an illusion or not?
If they touch it, as soon as they go through it, it's just gonna disappear.
Okay.
So it doesn't take much. It'll affect them for one half a turn. I didn't realize she was going to move next to it, so it's not really going to do any kind of difference.
Well, I mean, they're still. I would say this that they're rushing toward him, but I would say that because they're kind of moving towards this pig as well. That half of them will move towards the pig and half towards him,
Sure.
which will it'll reduce it, so just disadvantage on the attack of whether they actually connect with him, and then if they do, potentially half the damage against the soldier. They got an 11. They missed. So he's kind of scrambling forward, and they're kind of collapsing behind him, trying to catch up to him. Not able to quite make it. They're still like surrounding and basically near the pig. And are trying to kind of swing through this pig. They're dumb enough that they probably continue to try, at least for the moment, so the pig is still there. They're just, still trying to reach for something that doesn't actually exist. Okay, I need... Actually, Arteme is behind a wall, so... Everybody is behind
audio keeps killing me. Keeps dropping out of Discord for like 2 or 3 seconds at a time.
So this song doesn't loop well. So hang on, hang on. I'm gonna do it on purpose. Tell me if you hear it. Like right there. Is this the part you're talking about?
No. I mean, it literally goes dead. No audio.
Oh, like all audio, even me talking.
Yeah.
Did you check your performance monitor to see if it's
You know I didn't. I'll check it right now.
I'm on Geek Squad.
No, I'm using 2 gigs out of 6, and my processor's at 11%. So it doesn't look like anything's working.
Really?
Hard. Yeah.
How about your disk? Is the hard disk maxed out?
I'll double check. Not at all.
Anybody else getting audio cutouts at all?
No.
Nah, I think there's something wrong with my system. That's okay.
All right.
No,
Well, what's that?
you cut out on mine.
Often?
No, just the last time you were talking.
Oh,
You were
okay. So
saying
it's
you
just
needed
every
to
once in a
make
while.
space.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, it's probably just a one-off then. Archers, though, they were not able. Like, there's still arrows flying over you that look like they're heading towards the soldiers that are coming in from behind. There is a group of soldiers now. By the way, I don't have a token for them. Let me grab one that can represent soldiers, I suppose. It is Sarah's turn, though, so what are you doing? How does which one? Swarm 17 look? 17 is more than half dead. There's like 6 of them left.
Alright, I'm just gonna cast Firebolt then.
All right.
Oh, come on.
I'm just going to make this token big, but it's actually the group of soldiers that are rushing through the middle of the road. So it's probably
I kind of like the idea that there's just some
one
massive
giant dude.
culture. Yeah.
Yeah, that misses.
Great.
Any bonus actions? You were using your broom, flying up a bit, taking the shot, and then going back down.
Yeah. And I'm just gonna keep checking that paper.
Okay. It's like you're waiting by the phone in the 80s, like
Pretty much.
like waiting for a call to come that's may not come. Like that person could not even be at home for all you know. Back before cell phones. All right, Pogo, start.
I'm gonna move my banjo up, and I'm going to attack. Is it just better if I just do that as my banjo attack, like if I'm normally attacking, or?
I'm not sure how you mean.
Well, I'm just targeting them like normal, and then click cast button on.
Yeah, that's exactly how you would do it. Yeah, and then that way, if it does hit when you hit the damage, it'll automatically apply. But that missed anyway.
And I'm going to, let's see here.
You can also, by the way, Justin, if you don't want to target them, if you hold down control and click them, you can target them or untarget, right?
Yeah.
But you don't even actually need to target them if you just, when you grab the cast button, click and drag it and then drop it on them on the map, and it'll do it that way too, without having to target them. And then you do the same with the damage.
How does this group in front of me look? This Swarm 7?
The one that's right in front of you?
Yeah, the one that's rushing at me.
Yeah, almost the same. There's 6 of them left.
Alright. I'm actually going to in a panic, I'm gonna go ahead and cast Thunder Wave on them.
Okay. Oh shit, never mind. Okay, good. That's good for you. So I look over there and I just see a 3 roll, and I'm thinking it's an attack roll, not a save. I was thinking you trying and that you like failed. No, it is a save, which means they have a 3 minus 2 for a total of 1. They failed. So you can blast them away. Shit. There's 2 of them left. You blast them away, and 3 of them just like break into pieces. Like literally, you blow an arm off here, and you blow like half the neck out of another one with the concussive explosion, knocking them back 10 feet. But there's only 2 of them left now. And if they had hit you for real, like I don't think you could have survived it. So just keep that. That was good that you had some means of getting them away from you. Did I move them back too far, or was that 10 feet? They were right here, right? No, they were here.
Yeah.
All right, so they got to there.
And Pogo is gonna move back and end his turn.
Still behind the wall corner, like the corner of the wall there? Okay.
I'm kind of like trying to squeeze in between those 2 sections of wall.
Sure. Yeah, the soldiers are kind of filling the whole road area anyway. There's enough space for you to kind of dip over there where you wouldn't get shot at, hopefully. Okay, Norok, the swarm of people coming up from the Undercroft hasn't really slowed so much, but go ahead and make a... are you going to try to kind of carefully move through the crowd?
Yeah, I'm going to try to, bash into the least amount of people possible, but I am going to get through, though.
Okay. If you're going to make sure that it happens, then we will make sure that it happens, but obviously your speed would be dramatically slowed. If you're trying not to step on people or hurt them, go ahead and give me a acrobatics, maybe? I guess probably just a dex check.
Okay.
It's not really something a proficiency would help with. Nobody can really be particularly skilled at pushing their way through a crowd unless you like work in Disneyland or some shit.
Yeah.
You for sure stepped on some toes. You probably broke some ankles of some already wounded soldiers. You guys just don't care about the good guys. And you push your way through them, making your way. You've made it to like the top of the stairs. You can see the glow from the Undercroft, but you can't actually see the mages yet. Like they're within earshot if you were going to yell, but you can't actually get all the way to them yet.
Then I will yell. I'll say, we need someone to mend the wall that's been breached. We need the Wiggins. Southgate.
Okay. Yeah, Norok was not there. So the Wiccans were not in that room, but that's not where the Wiccans were.
Okay.
That's you were going for the mages, right? Or were you specifically? Well, yeah, Norok wouldn't have any way of knowing where they were.
All I would have heard was mages, right? Somebody just would have said, "Go grab the mages." That's what the Crowblinders said, right? So I just would have yelled out "mages," probably, I guess, because that's what I would have heard.
Okay, that's fine. But you shouting it to the group, though, there are people that are rushing by you, and one of them stops and says, "They breached the wall."
Yeah, Southgate. They broke through the wall. There's hordes of Albashar coming through. We can't hold them off for long. We're already having to fall back.
He turns and runs as soon as, like, you're halfway through you explaining that. He turns and runs, but it's clear that he understood what you were saying and was rushing off, and you get the impression he's probably going to get the Wiccans, that he may know where they are, even though you didn't. So that's the impression you got, that is that he understood what you were saying, was just in a hurry to try to get there as fast as possible. All right, so that was your action, essentially, to dash through them or to move through them without killing people, without stomping them too much. Any bonus actions?
Nope, I'm just going to turn around and get ready to head back and try to help as soon as I can on my next turn.
Okay, your rage fell because you didn't hit anybody other than accidentally stepping on toes.
Yeah, that didn't count. So.
All right, this swarm turns, sees the only edible thing is that soldier and an Arteme there, and they can definitely reach Arteme. Rushing through the cow, seeing that it's not there, they're going to have disadvantage also because, the cow doesn't disappear, right? The one group can recognize that it's not there, but other creatures can still, it doesn't disappear. Right, Justin?
That's a good question.
Arteme, how do you feel about being eaten by a crowd of cannibals?
Not too good.
Not too good? You sure?
Yeah. Especially not alive.
Yeah, I guess it just stays there. I guess
I
it
think
just
it does
stays-
just stay there.
Yeah.
I think individual creatures or groups would have a chance to see it,
Yeah,
but it
it
doesn't
stays
disappear.
there for a minute or until I pull it back.
Okay. All right, so we got 9 more rounds of it then. But these guys rushing through it would try to grab the cow first, so they're going to have disadvantage on the attack to see if they
Idiots.
can take a take a bite out of Arteme. Get a 13, Fox. Know what that means?
What?
It means your AC is a 13. It means they hit.
I thought it was a 14.
Nope, your AC is a 13. At least on your sheet right now, it's a 13. Your AC, what gear are you wearing? Leather?
I think so.
So leather's 11 plus your dex mod is 2 for a total of 13. Your AC is 13. They attacked, got a 13, which means they hit. This could be pretty gruesome. You've got a group of soldiers coming at you, but this could maybe not go very well. 19 piercing damage as they grab an arm here and fall over and start to try to chew on your ankle. Make a Constitution save, Fox. You have to beat a 14.
Not that.
So close!
This is almost certainly not going to go well because it's 4d10, Fox, of them engulfing you, kind of throwing you to the ground and starting to just like zombie style biting. You are toast. It was 24 plus the 19. That's an awful lot that an Arteme can't quite survive.
I need to try to help the soldier, dude.
You did. That's what you for trying to be helpful. Which is actually, you know what? Hey, hang on. I'll give you one possible out here. You did have inspiration. Do you have anything useful from your inspiration that could have helped you there? Which ones you chose? Recovery and swift action. Swift action, you gain special action, which you can use immediately to make a ranged or melee attack. Use a cantrip with a cast September 1 bonus action, or dash, disengage, dodge, help, or hide.
Yeah.
TikTok, anything quickly?
Which one is this sword? I'm looking for my cantrip.
Oh shit! There was only 2 of them. There's 2 of them left. That's it. There's only 2 of them that knocked you over and started to bite you.
Okay, so I'm gonna try and smack them with Thornwood. Or no, wait, Shillelagh. Nice.
Okay. Well, it is a bonus action to cast, and then you can immediately use it, right?
Yes, I think so.
Okay. So you need to hit, and you need to do more 5 damage or more, and if otherwise, you're being chewed apart.
Wait, why do I have disadvantage? What?
Uh,
Oh, because
no,
I'm
because
dead.
you're dead. Okay, but you dropped a 7, so it would have been a 7. 7 plus 6 is 13. Their AC, I think, is 14. Yeah, it's 14. Still would have missed.
Okay.
There, I'm just so you can see it too. I'll go ahead and send you the stats here so you can see it.
Fine. I tried. Thank you.
But I mean, it was a worthy effort. It was something that could have saved you had you not rolled so terribly. But you are unconscious and being chewed to bits by a swarm of Albashar. You are unconscious, and it is now your turn, which means now you get to make a death save. I had 2 failed death saves too, guys, when I went unconscious.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the group almost didn't give a shit.
Yeah, they didn't know what to do. Like, they didn't know how to
Yeah.
help and stuff like that. So I was explaining it all, but I didn't want to say, "Hey, come save." You know what I mean? So I'm just letting it be. I don't. It was first session, anyways. If he died, I could make another character. But
Sure.
they didn't know like what to do and how and everything. And I'm like, well, here's like
I'm-
the tactical way to do it. But if I said it that way, it's like you better do this because I don't want
I'm
to describe it that way.
Whisket's
So.
twin brother, Triscuits.
That's a known trope, by the way, is that a lot of people just bring it back that like I'm here to avenge my brother. It's the exact same name with like a different letter on the end or something. But that was a successful save on Arteme's part. The soldier is going to try to finish them off for you. That group that he sees you down and being munched on by the remaining 2, so he's going to swing at them, which he hits. So he cleaves through one, who falls back, his scimitar forward, and cuts the head off the other as they're trying to eat you. And that is it for his turn, but that group that is standing over you is now dead. So there's just an unconscious Arteme with bite marks all over the place. As the soldiers continue their route through, they're actually pushing over this group. They'll actually... shit. So the Albashar are going to get to move again, but... Arteme... Oh, shit. Yeah, they would actually go for the soldiers anyways. Soldiers are kind of blocking Arteme by this point, instead of just eating an Arteme that's already on the ground. So they will make the... which hits. So there's basically some melee back and forth between the soldiers and the remaining swarm, but there's not going to be any chance for these guys to succeed. So against it's a squad of 15, yeah, that would be basically nothing. And there was 6 left, so they pretty much can carve their way through, clearing off the last of these, which actually would be as one more group comes in. So they're just basically fighting, the soldiers are fighting off the last of the remaining swarm there in the doorway, or in the hole that they made in the wall. But for the sake of time here anyways, and you guys have, got the soldiers are basically blocking you guys in by now anyways. You shouldn't really be having to do the fighting. So they are all dead. There is an unconscious, or at least the ones that are inside the walls are dead. There is an unconscious Arteme on the ground. It is Sarah's turn.
I'm going to dash on the broom because I was 80 feet away, and then use the ring of healing surges.
It was after dawn when you used the charges on the kids.
After a long rest. I double checked.
Is it? Okay,
Yep.
I thought it was after dawn. Okay, all right. Well, in that case,
No,
that's good.
that's ascending stone.
Oh, that's right. Okay, cool. Yeah, because you did take a long rest right after that, so that actually works out perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it would have been good otherwise. All right.
So yeah, I can only use one at a time. So.
Okay,
The
then go ahead and
shields
roll it
give
for
me a
her.
dice.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Fox, then you can roll a hit die to get Arteme back conscious again. Yay! So you wake up with Sarah's arm on your shoulder. You are covered like head to toe in bleeding bite wounds that are almost certainly going to be infected like immediately.
Okay, I'm just gonna nod to her and thank.
Okay.
Yeah.
You probably have lockjaw.
Okay,
So,
and I can't.
You what?
So I can't actually do anything right now until my next turn, right?
We're out of initiative order, so
Oh, okay. So can I just use Lesser Restoration on my...
sure. So try to push out as much of the invading bacteria as you can from these diseased mouths. Pogo's sending his banjo to try to club it some more to keep push the soldiers back. In the span of the next minute or so, you do see the two children, the Wiccan children, under each arm of a. I've got to go through and just like take all the really loud ones out, especially the ones that are super long like that. I fixed the paralyzed one. That one's a more reasonable sound now. But anyways, a very big Miotau, Minotaur, just like bull rushing through the center of the crowd here behind that same road that you guys are kind of on, holding one of the twins under each arm as he's rushing forward, and they kind of pile up behind the soldiers there as the soldiers kind of push the Albashar back as best they can, each taking an arrow here, getting slashed by some nearby Mortrolis and so on, just fighting them back as best they can, while Nebush and Nadir try to pull up as much mud as they can to try to fill up that wall and block off that space. So we will go ahead and end there. The message that Arteme got, you guys, I guess all of you are back together. Is Arteme sharing that information with everybody?
Yeah, probably.
Probably. Is that
Only with Norok, but I'm not sure about Pogo because he didn't really know my...
He did try to hit on my Evie, so he might be interested in her current
Okay,
status.
that is true.
Are we talking about the hot Sinead O'Connor chick?
That's exactly who it is, yeah. Arteme, while they were there talking to Pepperjack, in fact, just when you saw them bolt out, when you saw Arteme like bolt out and Sarah followed behind her, she got a sending message from my EB, and that's what it said. Why is that one so loud all of a sudden? There we go. Where's that coming from? That's super. Like I did. Like was that one of you guys?
Oh, sounded like a spell. I didn't click on anything.
Yeah, it's like it wasn't anything in the. Oh, you know what? Maybe it could have been one of the words that's in that message. Could be triggered a spell because all it does is trigger off the.
Maybe it's
that was it. 'Cause I hit stop.
The word torture triggers waterboarding sounds.
Anyways, so that's the message that Artemi passes on to you guys, though. So that's where we'll pick up next week.
All right.
Let's see. Next week is the 2nd. Everybody good for normal time on the 2nd next Saturday?
I should be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.